Look, man, I only need to know one thing. Where they are.
You ready for some juicy red meat? Back from the U.S. National Forest with Sterling and Justin over the course of this last week. I'm looking forward to this one, though. Somebody sent me this, I think, about 2 or 3 days ago, and I was like, I gotta do this. Have seen this video yet? You will. We're gonna break it down. I've been meaning to do an infidelity episode, so today is the day. All right, you guys. All right. Oh, that's the slow one, isn't it? All right, hang on. We don't need that, do we? Pull that out. There you go. Ha! Now I'm back in the saddle. Hey, I forgot that's a short intro. No applause. That's actually a Wednesday episode intro. I try to do slow ones on that day. Man, I'm real laggy today. I hope the camera's all right. I hope you guys are good with the quality today. I kind of noodled around with the camera settings today, so hopefully we're going to be good. Today we're going to talk about infidelity. We're going to talk about why women cheat, why men cheat as well, and what is the deal with jealousy. I want to kind of delve into that a little bit. It's one of the more popular, I guess, requested topics that I get, whether it's through. Oops, wait a minute, 1 second. Let me put the echo cancellation back. Go. It's one of the more popular topics that I get. It's usually as long as I have been doing what I've been doing, and I know it's a little weird, isn't it? Sorry, I'm sorry if it's a little slow. Probably won't be in the playback, but it is what it is. We'll do what we can. And I see fake Rollo's already in the chat, so let's give you this. Bye, Felicia. There you go. You're out. So anyways, yeah, I have new sound patches today too, so got some good content coming in today. So I just wanted to just preface a few things here. Whenever I do something like infidelity or use something that's jealousy, it runs the risk of sort of being a team sport. As I have said in the past, whenever you're watching shows that are sort of like these, some of them are kind of red pill and I would endorse, and some of them are just really just kind of like red meat shows. But it's the shows that are based on female accountability, and we're going to definitely be talking about female accountability today. So here's your first healthy dose of accountability. We're going to talk about this video that's been making the rounds. This woman who is, apparently, this is from what I could figure out, is apparently married. And the husband is confronting her about her let's say, sexual indiscretions. And whenever something like this comes around, I don't know if it was necessarily viral. I guess it was. I mean, it was viral enough that I saw it on Twitter and in a number of different places. But then again, it could be just like people sort of throwing it at me saying, what do you think about this? So I'm gonna dig into that a little bit. And I'm going to break down what I think is going on here. I've also got a short clip. This is from the roommates, and it's of I forget the lady's name. She's a doctor of a relationshipologist, right, or a marriage counselor. And I think what she expresses, this was from about a year ago on the roommates. What she expresses about infidelity is a popular kind of cope for what we're going to look at in the other video. So I thought they were kind of complementary to each other because I wanted to pick up on the popular misconceptions in a gynocentric social order. Like, how is this viewed? Why does this go viral? Clearly it goes viral because a lot of guys have had this happen to them, or they fear it happening to them. And to get the party started here, I have to go into, and I apologize in advance. I'm also going to be a little bit data heavy today too. However, we have to kind of consider the jealousy response. And I've talked about this on several different occasions, but it's usually when I'm talking about like evolutionary psychology or why it is that guys will mate guard. And mate guarding is a big deal because it is the behavioral manifestation of the jealousy response. Now, when we think about mate guarding, we almost always look at it from the perspective of the guy, because usually it's the guy that is very possessive. It's the guy that is, intimate partner violence, IPV, right? Usually IPV is as the result of some sort of jealousy response that the guy can't quite cover for himself. He can't quite figure it out, or he is not able to mate guard in the way that he thinks he ought to be mate guard. And at some point, depending on the sort of psychology of the guy himself, that might lead him to do some pretty extreme things. So I wanted to cover the jealousy response first, because that's, I think, is imperative to understanding why it is that we get so indignant over infidelity, and how do men and women relate and deal with infidelity, and how do they relate with jealousy, and how do they relate with mate guarding. And we're going to get into that today too, but we have to sort of look at it from different sides, and we're going to start with the side that's a little bit more red meat. So as you guys know, I try not to lean too far into the indignation generating subjects, but there's really kind of no way around this one, because everybody's got some sort of like ego investment in jealousy, or in sort of finding out what is it on Among Us, right? Who's the imposter, right? You want to know why that game is so popular right now? It's because it triggers that, like, I'm going to find out who's really against me, right? And is my investments in this group, is my investments in this, that whatever it is, are they all wasted because I have put all of this energy in here? And is this person, can I trust this person? Is his word his bond? Do I know this person well enough? And when we translate that over into situations like, partner jealousy, that can be a real tough pill to swallow. Miguel, hey, how's it going, my friend? Your book was a life changer. Can you explain the thought process when women cheat, spin it, and make you the bad guy for leaving them and not taking them back? Well, Miguel, today's the show for you, my friend. Devil Mountain Coffee. There you go. Miguel, trust me. I'm going to answer your super chat with this entire show. So, and Michael, yeah, I see him coming in. Thank you guys very much. Hi, Rollo. What do you do when your friends always try to shame you in front of girls so they themselves look better? Although they're amogging you is what they're trying to do. Go look at the amog show. I've done full shows on this before. You also might, they probably are using what's called the boyfriend destroyer on you as well. I'll come back around to that later on. Sam, put a bookmark, put a check mark in that, put an asterisk on that one. I want to come back to that later. Thank you very much. All right. So we have to understand a few things about jealousy and how men and women deal with intersexual jealousy. And one of the things that really gets thrown around, I think certainly in a gynocentric social order, is we tend to make jealousy something that should be shameful. We tend to think of it as something that is like a personality defect, when in fact, the jealousy response is an evolved response that has a purpose to it. It has a function to it. Okay. So when we're talking about the differences between what makes a woman jealous and what makes a man jealous, we kind of have to dig into what their imperatives are when it comes to like their reproductive investments. No, Telly, it's not. There you go. That's your answer. So when we look at the differences between jealousy, we have to see what makes guys jealous and what makes women jealous. And I've actually read quite a bit about this in kind of an indirect way, because when I'm reading stuff like the Ape Who Understood the Universe by Steve Stuart Williams, really great book. I'm presently kind of digging through David Buss's new book, which is Men Behaving Badly. And I love Dave Buss is one more of these Evo Psych guys that I have a lot of respect for. He does a lot of good research, but he is one of the most frustrating guys for me because, again, it's one of those things where he's got this data and the dots he connects are really in accordance to what he thinks a female audience is going to appreciate, and ergo the title of the book, Men Behaving Badly. So I'm thinking about doing a full review of this one, but along the way, we talk about he talks about what is it, IPV, which is intimate partner violence, and then also what it is that makes men and women jealous. Men and women get jealous for different reasons. When it comes to infidelity, men tend to primarily fixate on the sexual act, on the infidelity itself, on the did you bang him, right? We're not at the half-hour mark yet, so I can't use that word, but we will very soon here. But did you bang him? What did you do? Where was it? I did a video breakdown with Pat Campbell when in the early days, and I can't remember the name of the video, but it had Adam Driver was the guy in it, and Scarlett Johansson was the woman in it, and it was on Netflix, and I think it was like about marriage or something about marriage, and I can't remember exactly what it was. And at some point, there was a scene in that, because I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched like bits and pieces of it. But there was a scene that I was watching with Pat Campbell, and it was where Adam Driver's character discovers that Scarlett Johansson's character had been cheating on him, and he was putting his fists through the wall, and he was freaking out, and so we kind of did a quick breakdown of it. I have to be real careful of those things, because is that what it was? Marriage Story? A Marriage Story is what it was called? I'm pretty sure that was it. Mike, did you say that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was too. And that was actually I didn't get a copyright strike, but that was the first time I had a video demonetized for a copyright infringement. So I have to be careful of using those things. It taught me a lesson, but I think that's probably the last time I touched on jealousy. And it's important to preface this whole thing about cheating and about infidelity and about monogamy, because there's a lot of things to unpack when we look at this video of this woman who's just sort of like, her come to Jesus moment. And when I was watching that, I guess the Marriage Story video, it struck me that guys are more detail oriented when there's infidelity. Like, did you suck him off? Did you do this? Did you do that? Was it in my bed? Did he bend you over the kitchen table? That kind of stuff. It's like very, very detail oriented. And it seems to me like in some respect, once that jealousy is, you're definitely jealous at that point, but once that jealousy is manifested, once it becomes sort of, it's out in the open, what do guys fixate on and what do women fixate on? Primarily, men fixate on the sex act, because men's imperatives is to ascertain paternity. It is to not get cuckolded. And again, this is like root level stuff. This is like hindbrain, lizard brain stuff for guys. I have to make 100% sure that the kid is mine. I'm sure you guys have heard, I think I've even covered these stories before, but I'm sure you probably read these stories where a guy goes and he gets a 23andMe, DNA test to find out, if he's from the old country in Romania or whatever, right? to find out what his family lineage is or his ancestry. And it's, it's a fun thing. We go and, give up our DNA to be, copyrighted by somebody else. But along the way, there's been sort of this, I guess, unplanned consequences of this, which is guys are finding out that sometimes the kids aren't theirs as a result of those tests. And there's any number of reasons why a guy would be suspicious as to whether the kid is his or it's not. And we live in a time right now where we're supposed to be above that, right? We live in a time where everybody's like blank slate equals, and it's all, the only reason you're jealous or you're looking for 100% certainty with respect to your paternity is because you're insecure in your masculinity. And it's really not that. It's your evolved imperative as a guy. You don't know why you're jealous. You bloody well are jealous. And the real reason behind that is because guys in our evolutionary past, our ancestral past, who were jealous tended to breed more than guys who weren't. That's the most obvious, easiest answer for that whole thing. And again, this is cross-cultural. So there's been a lot of critique about this kind of stuff where it's like the opposite side of this would like to say that it's all social constructionism. And the only reason you're jealous is because you've been taught to be this macho guy and to fluff your chest out and to be concerned with those things. And you shouldn't really be concerned with those things. You should be more secure in your masculinity and all this. It really what amounts to shaming of a biological evolutionary mechanism that has served mankind for millennia, for hundreds of thousands, 100,000 years, let's just say. Let's round it off. So when you hear like these social conventions trying to tell you, well, you shouldn't be jealous. Oh, only insecure guys are jealous. No, actually you should be jealous. And that serves a function. And to his credit, David Buss and even, Steve Stewart Williams I think Steve Stewart Williams is probably up there with God's side for me now, because he's much more impartial and much more objective, I think, than a lot of these other guys. But anyways, long story short, jealousy has a function. It's supposed to be there. Now, women get possessive of men as well. Women also mate guard as well. Women also have an investment that they have to protect, and therefore they will mate guard according to those reasons. Now, what women are primarily concerned with when it comes to jealousy, when it comes to infidelity, is emotional infidelity. As you might guess, women lead with their emotions. Remember, instinct, emotion, and reason versus instinct, reason, and emotion. So when women are leading with that emotional set, that's what they want to know. Because really, why would women want to mate guard? Well, if they have a guy, particularly a guy who is above them in sexual market value, even if it's just perceptual, by the way, but let's just say for sake of argument, they're with a guy who is a point above them. Like she's an 8 and he's a 9, right? Or she's a 6 and he's a 7. That triggers more possessiveness in women on some level. Until something happens, until something shifts in that relationship where she suddenly gets to the gym and has a personal trainer and now she's become a 7 herself and the guy's still a 7, then you will see changes happen. But until that point, she has an investment in a guy who is a better than average or better than earned. Remember what I had always told you guys is hypergamy never seeks its own level. It's always at or above. And if it's at, it's always looking above. So when a woman is at a point where she's a 6 and the guy is a 7, she has more to lose. She's investing herself in this. And then on top of that, we have to remember that women's primary agency in this life is her sexuality. And that peaks out right about 23 years old. So as I've said before, let's review, class. Between 18 and 28 years old is when women can usually maximize their sexual agency with men. It is a capital. I've heard Myron has described it like this, like women are handed like $1 million when they get to be 18 years old. And you have this $1 million, it's just dropped in your lap and you have to apportion it wisely. And that $1 million is figurative for women's sexual agency, their beauty, their youth, their sexuality, their availability, that all that kind of stuff where that makes them powerful amongst men. So when you look at women who are, say, between the ages of 22 and 24 years old, and you look at who is commanding the most attention on social media, on OnlyFans, you're looking at women who are at the peak of their power, but that wanes after a while. And by the time they get to be at 28 years old, maybe they're down to their last $10,000 if they're lucky, if they're not completely out of it, right? So you've got this money that you've been able to spend from 18 to 28, and you can either invest it and put it into a guy and hope that, by the time he is hitting his peak sexual market value years, that your investment will pay off. As Rich has said in the past, women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they bang the winners. That is true, but not all women can be the ones waiting at the finish line, ready there to bang the winners. Some, actually, I would say a majority of women are required to find a good bet, to put a bet on a good horse. And men are the horse, right around. And usually women want to wait it out and explore their options and spend that money little by little until they get to be about 28, 29 years old when they hit their epiphany phase. And hopefully they can grab a guy before the lights come on at the club. And now she's with this guy and has invested herself in this guy. Now, think about it this way. If that woman is, say, 23, 24, 25 years old, she's still got a lot of that $1 million capital, that sexual agency, and she's going to invest it in that guy. She's going to do that because women are more focused on long-term security for more of their life than they will be able to affect their sexual agency between the ages of 18 and 28. So it's really a logistics thing. And on average, let's just think about this. And I'm not saying, all women are gorgeous and again, we're looking at a bell curve here. I'm sure there are outliers either way. So let's put that out there for the autistic guys out there who are going to be real literalist about this whole thing. So largely speaking, globally speaking, sweeping generalizationally speaking, right around 23, 24, 25 years old. But they got to put an investment on there. They got to put money on red 6 or black 13, whatever it is on the roulette wheel, and hope for the best. Now, let's just say this. What if that woman has invested in you and got married early? Maybe she was 25 and she got with you because she thought you had prospects. One of the reasons why women get so bent out of shape about this apex fallacy when it comes to men wanting this trophy wife is because of exactly that jealousy. It's because of that emotional jealousy, because they're more concerned with the guy falling in love with another woman than they are with that guy banging another woman. I mean, sure they are, because that also represents that if he impregnates that woman, then that's going to take resources away from her and her kids over to some other bitch that got a hold of him, right? So there is a more, they're more concerned with the emotional side of things, because if that guy is emotionally involved with that person, has decided, like, I'm not in love with you anymore, I'm in love with you, with this other girl right now, that is a loss of, that's sunk cost right there. And that's why women tend to prioritize emotion before the actual sex act. Now, if you look at other countries, and I was hoping like maybe John from Modern Life Dating could back me up on this, but like in other countries, in other cultures, in particularly classically patriarchal cultures, there is an expectation that a high value man is going to have concubines, let's just say, for lack of a better term, but is going to have a mistress, is going to cheat. As long as she's the main, as long as his resources are coming to her, then it's all good. But once he falls in love with that person, once he has emotions, once he catches feelings for the mistress, that's when all bets are off, and that's when you're going to see women rage. So there's a qualitative difference between men's jealousy instinct and women's jealousy instinct. Men are more primarily concerned with paternity, ascertaining paternity, even in an era where we have DNA testing. Yes, that's a vestige, right? It's what's called a genetic lag. We have these instincts and we have these impulses that served us very well in our ancestral past, and maybe today they still serve us well, or maybe they can be the source of violence. Maybe they can be the source of you wanting to actually go and hurt the guy who cheated with your wife instead of her. Like, it's funny is what's interesting to me is like when infidelity is figured out, what is the guy's initial response? And we're going to see this here in the video just a moment here. But what's the guy's initial response? He wants to, it's not so much about the woman as it is about the guy. You'll see violence between the guy and the rival, or the guy who she's banging, way quicker than you will see any violence against the partner, because there's still the possibility that the baby's his. Again, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but that's straight out of Men Behaving Badly and Ape That Understood the Universe. So let me back up a little bit. Did I miss somebody here? I don't think I missed anybody. Kelly, why are you asking me all these off-topic things, man? Is the red pill a blue pill with a come on, dude. Here, you get one of these. Bye, Felicia. There you go. So I'm gonna throw this one on here. Get ready when you feel the adrenaline hit. You can put a 1 in the chat when you're watching this. I'm gonna kind of stagger my way through this thing. So let's have a look at this. This is gonna be real fun. This is the video that's been making the rounds.
Well, why does he think he's with you?
I have no idea. I'm pretty sure he's confused. Are you videotaping me?
Thinking about it.
Go ahead. I'm not changing my story about that.
Okay. What I want to know is when did you become the type of person that would do that?
I answered you.
You became, when you're saying when you fell in love with me, that's when you decided to be the type of person that would lie to me.
It wasn't conscious. It was a...
Yeah, but let's be very clear. You lied to me utilizing your daughter as an excuse.
I have already admitted to all of that.
Repeatedly. Well, I just want to...
I know, and I've admitted to it, and you keep saying it.
And then when you got caught lying, using your daughter as an excuse over and over again,
yes,
you got caught.
Yes.
You then decide to go fuck somebody else to pay me back for catching you in a lie.
I don't think that I could go into the whole. No.
Well, I caught you lying. You got mad.
I did.
Okay, and then and when you got mad, you wouldn't fuck somebody else.
I was mad at me.
Okay, but you wouldn't fuck somebody else.
I did.
Because you got caught lying.
Yes.
And now this person is now.
I was mad at me.
Now this.
You like that? She said that's twice. She said that. I was mad at me. Well, yeah, for going out and cheating on the guy. All right. So again, I probably should have prefaced this before I even clicked play here, but the fact remains is this guy is going through. It's like he is an interrogator. He's like a prisoner interrogator. And yes, let's just noted the body language is duly noted here. I'll talk about that here in just a second. She's in the defensive crouch, as Royce used to say. And I think what's funny to me is listen to the rationalizations that go along with this. Now, again, this is not me trying to run women up the flagpole because women are just going to say, oh, well, she's just damaged. There's something wrong with her. We're going to make her like this outlier, right? But listen to what she says and listen to what the rationales are here.
Person is now texting you saying that he was with you actually all night.
He was not.
Okay, but so he's lying.
He is lying.
Okay.
He is lying. That's a big fat fucking lie.
He said last Friday night. What does Katy Perry voice mean?
I have no idea.
Can somebody go look that up for me? Because I could not find that. Is that a thing? Is that like an Urban Dictionary thing? What is Katy Perry voice? I have to know what that is. I tried to look it up before. I didn't have enough time to like get on it before I went live today. But somebody find me out what the hell Katy Perry voice is.
I don't know what he's talking about.
So he's lying.
I think he was with somebody else before he got to me. That's what I think.
Okay. Well, he thinks he had sex with you all night.
He didn't.
Did you blow him near the couch?
Yes.
Okay. Well, he talked
right when he walked in the door.
Okay. So wait, right when you walked in, you went out sucking his dick.
Yes.
Okay. Well.
All right. So hold on. Stop the tape. Stop the tape. If you want to know why this is going viral, this is why it's going viral. I saw this. I don't think it was somebody on Fresh. And by the way, guys, Fresh, Myron, if you're watching this, I will gladly give you this video and you guys can do a breakdown on it, because I think it was somebody from the Black Manosphere who forwarded this to me as well. But man, wow. I was looking at the Twitter responses to this one part of the video right here, where she's like, yeah, as soon as you walked in the door, I gave mom her. Oh yes, okay. Now, thank you, Red. Okay, so yeah, tell her to get the fuck out. Yes, I 100%. Is that what that is? What is Katy Perry voice? It means she's about. Is that what that is? Is that really what that is? Because I've never heard that in my lifetime. This is news to me. Sorry, maybe I'm out. Maybe that's what the kids are calling it today. Katy Perry voice means she's gonna like. Is that what it is? Wow. So that's the part of the video that everybody's fixating on, and I will tell you this has been the source of some very hilarious memes as a result of this. But again, now, okay, all fun and aside, notice what's happening here. The guy who the husband is grilling her on what? Grilling her on the specifics of what she did, and then trying to appeal to reason. Now, I'm going to say this right here from the get-go. This dude is very much beta, very much blue pill. He's one of these guys who probably in another incarnation is one of these guys who keeps an Excel spreadsheet of all the times a woman wouldn't have sex with him. I would wonder, I don't know this for a fact. I don't know who this even is right here. By the way, just to clarify, because I know I'm going to get this question, is this real? That's one of the reasons why I waited till Sunday to do this. I got this video like 3 days ago. And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll understand. I posted this up there and I said, is this real or is this not? I did my due diligence. As far as I know, this is real. This is not a setup. This is not staged. It's shitty video. Could it be? Yes. Anything online can be staged, but it doesn't. It seems to me like it's not staged. So that, all standard caveats apply. I don't know for sure if it is it turns out to be a hoax or a hose job, whatever. I'm sorry in advance, but it still is a good illustrative video. So I'm going with the assumption that it's real. There you go. Sorry.
He references that. So he knows it's you.
Yeah, okay.
He's talking about being with you all night.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
We didn't leave the restaurant until 10:30. You just heard that.
Okay.
Well, there was nothing to preface that.
But she didn't say that you weren't with him as well.
Call her back. She probably won't take the call since you hung up on her, but go ahead and call her back.
Okay, now, do you feel bad at all that you did what you did?
Oh my God. Fuck yes, I do.
What do you feel bad about?
I feel bad that, well, for 100 different things I feel bad. Starting backwards, or starting at the end and working backwards, I felt absolutely terrible that I cheated on you.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you feel bad that you lied to me?
Well, I was getting there. I told you I was working from the end and going backwards.
Okay.
The worst thing that I've ever done is hurt you.
Okay, so when you got
Clearly not. Clearly the worst thing you've ever done is knocking out with another guy, but that's the rationale. Now, she's going to get into emotional appeals here in just a moment. And I should also say this, is that when I'm looking at this video being passed around on, also, by the way, on different channels and on different Twitter feeds, there's a lot of women that are coming to this woman's defense. And there's also the element of guys who are saying, well, if you'd been more of a man, she wouldn't have done that, right? It's on you. It's your responsibility that she's, or you're responsible for her infidelity. And I think that is a real mind fuck. So I want to throw those things out. What'd you say, ML? Sorry, let me just catch up here. Old order honor, never fuck another man's wife, but Lance. Yeah, well, we'll get into the reasons why that would be the case in the first place here in just a moment. What'd you say? Here's Z22. Rollo, I love your work. Is it possible for a wife to cheat on an alpha husband who is still alpha? If yes, can you please elaborate on why that is possible? Yeah, I will. I'll return back to that. I'll answer that after we're done with the video here. And then somebody else hit me up. Who else hit me up? Oh, thank you for that. Oh, there it is. One Man's Chorus says, Rollo, how can you call the sexual marketplace unregulated when it is clearly regulated to manage the cost of hypergamy? It used to be. I would definitely say it was regulated. Taxpayer funded abortions, clinics, rape shield laws. Yeah, it is. It's definitely, I've never said it wasn't regulated. If anything, I've always said there used to be buffers. It's unfettered in the sense that we have prioritized women's mating strategy above everything else. And that reflects on exactly what you're talking about here. I've said that before. Actually, I've written about that probably in 2 different books, is that we fund and we absolve women of any kind of responsibility when it comes to the worst aspects of their mating strategy, which is hypergamy. And we've been doing this since the advent of hormonal birth control, the pill, and also the sexual revolution that followed after that. We're still living in the shadow of the sexual revolution. I just don't think that people really appreciate where we're at. It's one of the reasons why I keep bringing up things like, that Hugh Hefner thing with on the Dick Cavett show when he's debating the feminists. If you listen to the language, and that was a really good episode, even though I got a copyright strike for that too. But it was a really good episode because it's an example of when I say, we're still using the same language, we're still using the same thinking, we're using old order thinking and expecting new order privileges for women. For men, old order responsibility is everything. And that will save the West, right? If men would just be more responsible, that responsibility they're talking about is really old order 20th century thinking when it comes to what we consider responsibility. Great, but there's no 21st century entitlement or expectation or in any way authority given to men, actionable authority afforded to men in 2021. In the new order, it is all responsibility and 0% authority. And that, of course, is the definition of slavery. 100% responsibility, 0% authority. And until we address that, we can talk about regulated or unregulated marketplaces. And as I've said before, yeah, sure, It's regulated in the sense that everything that is a female experience is the correct experience. Hell, she even talks about it right here. When we get on to the next interview here on the roommates, I'll clarify a little bit more. Let's keep going.
But so tell me more about the logic of you fucking getting caught lying, and then you go suck some other guy's dick because I caught you lying. How does that work?
He used the L word, not love. Logic.
I was an absolute whore and deserved to be treated like one. It was self-mutilation. I don't know how to behave like this.
So you're saying that you wanted to self-mutilate? So if you wanted to self-mutilate, but wouldn't self-mutilate actually be like you cut yourself or you do damage yourself? You wouldn't suck dick. You just went and did something pleasurable.
All I did was...
He says he fucked you for 6 hours.
He didn't.
Okay.
That's a lie.
Okay, well, but you don't remember anything.
That's a lie. It was only 4. I don't mean to gloat. I really don't. This is a female accountability 101. Boy, man, I can't believe I jumped on this quicker than anybody else. And I waited 3 days to make sure this was legit. How come you guys? How come I'm the one leading the charge on this one? I wanted to stop this because this was really good. Musick said this isn't a defensive posture. She's hiding how wet her kitty is, and think about how hurt he is, smirking, and she loves it. What's funny is, by the time we get to the end of this video, you guys tell me, do you think that was her intent? Do you think that she's just like, oh Jesus, when is this going to be over? This guy's such a schmuck. This guy's such a beta loser, but I got to entertain him. I got to play along. I'm on camera. She was like, I don't care. Go ahead. You can videotape me. Some like women who are defending this chick. First of all, they're saying it's his fault. Because this is what a Gama would do, by the way, is analyze everything rather than just go, you know what, next. Because that's really the end result of all this isn't so much like, well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out for the interests of posterity and mankind to figure out what is this woman thinking about when she's sucking the guy off as soon as he walks in the door, and at least going for 6 hours, maybe less than 6 hours. But, your mileage may vary. But this is, I can't let the guy off the hook on this too. So lest you think that I am like coming down just particularly on the guy, on the woman here, the guy is just the fact that he would even bother to do this leads me to believe he's one of these analytical Gamma male guys who has to say, what's the logic in that? Don't you realize that you're being foolish? And what that is when guys make appeals to reason, and Lord knows I have in my past. Okay. And I'm sure there's probably people in the chat who do exactly the same thing. They wonder why it is that women can't be more like a guy. Why is it that you can't speak to them? They're all emotional children. We talked about that, last week. Why can't we talk? Why can't we just, if we could only reason with them, like they're aliens from another, if we could just reason with these people. And the fact of the matter is that that's not the case here, right? Guys don't understand that women lead with emotion. They don't understand. This would be completely unnecessary. Like this whole video, I'm glad the guy did it because it gives me, it's red meat, right? But if the guy had read my book, if the guy had read The Rational Male, if the guy had certainly read Preventive Medicine, this conversation simply wouldn't have taken place. Because she's when a woman gets to the point where she's cheating on you, you have reached the point of diminishing returns, my friend. Definitely. When it comes to like appealing to her, that's the who hurt you moment. Who hurt you? Why is it? You notice how she tries to turn it around? She turns it around into, well, I just wanted to self-mutilate. What? Sucking the guy off? Now, listen to what the guy says. Oh, wouldn't that be more like cutting yourself? Wouldn't that be more like, hurting yourself, or I don't know, dressing goth all of a sudden? No, it's not, because this is bullshit. This is just this is deflection is what this is. Because when women are put on the spot, particularly when logic is being used instead of emotion, women want to push that conversation and reframe that debate, which is literally what this guy's having. He's negotiating here, or trying to figure things out by negotiating. For all I know, they're split up, right? But the negotiation continues because the guy wants to hold her accountable by appealing to reason. rather than understanding the mechanics and understanding the dynamics and the reasons why she would go do that in the first place. She's with another dude. Okay. She's banging another dude. Why? Because you are not the answer to the hypergamous doubt question, which is he the best I can do? Most likely. How old does this woman look to you? Do you think she's like late 30s, early 40s? I would say she's in her 40s. Here's my bet. I'm going to bet she's 41, 42, somewhere around there. I don't know for a fact. I don't even know what her name is. She looks to me 41, 42, somewhere in there. At that stage right there, that's, if you read preventive medicine, you'll understand that's the alpha reinterest phase that women go through. It's the making up for missing out phase. It's the, I married a beta in my youth. And when I was in my epiphany phase, when I got to be 28, 29 years old, I married this chump who's interrogating me right now. And now here we are 10 years later, however many years later. And now I've answered the question. He's not the best I can do. This guy who wants to bang me for 6 hours is the guy whose cock I want to suck as soon as he walks through the door. Boy, that's going to be a great clip for you guys, for my haters. That guy is the guy that she wants to get with, not you. And I've been asked this before. It's like, well, don't you think that how come women don't enjoy sex? I was like, no, you need to add one part to that sentence, which is they don't enjoy sex with you. That's the other part. Women love sex. They absolutely love. They do. Are women as sexual as men? No, there's a biological impossibility. I'll explain that to you guys in a little bit here, but it's a biological impossibility for women to want or to be into sex to the same degree that men are. Simple as that. Are women more sexual than most guys really realize or understand? Oh, yes, very much so. Very much so. But are they as sexual? Are they more into sex? No, that's a cope most guys have, and it's been around for a long time, and women love it and they reinforce it because it reinforces the victimhood narrative for them. We'd be so much more sexual for you guys if you would just stop oppressing us, and we could just remove the church and we wouldn't be sexually repressed, and we would really want to suck your dick as soon as you walk through the door. All right. Let's keep going here. But that was a good, thank you for that question, by the way. I thought that was good. I think that probably on some level she is she's enjoying this, but she still has to go along with it. So this is when, what Vox Day said this in the sociosexual hierarchies video. He says this, that when women encounter or they deal with guys who are sort of gamma male guys, the guys who are like bean counters, they're like intersexual bean counters. Everything has to be, like, why is this? Why is that? Help me to understand. The reason why that fails for those guys is because they aren't playing the game. They're exposing the game. They're showing it. They're dragging it out into the open. They don't get it. They just don't get it. And women want a guy who just gets it, who knows how to play the game without having to be told to. A guy who would know, the guy that women don't cheat on is the guy who just gets it, who understands her nature, who can read her mind, right? He understands the nature of men, he understands the nature of women, and he acts accordingly, and it becomes part of his personality. So that, in a way, I guess that kind of answers your question there. It's easy. About, will women cheat on an alpha? Depends. Just, again, it's contextual. And again, hypergamy is not a straitjacket. We'll come back to that. But yes, she is enjoying this. And last thing is, Vox Day said this is like, when women deal with guys who are like gamma males, they have this irresistible, like unexplainable urge to punch the guy in the face. And the reason for that is because a guy is observing the process changes the process. So he's exposing the game and he's dragging it out in the open. This is one of the reasons why I say all these accountability shows that are out there right now, they're entertaining, they're fun, they're indignation generating, but ultimately they don't lead anywhere because you're Mr. Wizard and you're the scientist, and they want a vibe. They want the emotional high. They don't want a lot. You're not going to get anywhere with this woman with logic. Trying to corner her with logic.
I know what time I got home.
Did you have safe sex?
Yes.
Oh, you did? He doesn't think you did.
I don't care.
Okay, so he's wrong about that. So, but go back. So you got caught lying. You got mad at me. You blocked me from GPS. And you blocked me from talking to you, which is punishment for me catching you in a lie, right? I get it.
Blown at my phone. And
Okay.
I'm still sitting at dinner.
Okay. So
that's when the GPS went off.
Okay, so that was
Didn't have anything to do with Reggie.
Okay, but so what you're saying is when that happened, then your reaction to that is to go suck dick and fuck some guy for whoever how long because I caught you in a lie, and you're calling that self-mutilation?
I am, because all it did was further destroy my psyche.
But what you did was you went and did something pleasurable, right? So self-mutilation would actually be cutting yourself.
No, you can do it psychologically.
Okay, so really, how do you determine that?
What do you mean?
Well, how do you know that? Are you a psychiatrist, psychologist? Where do you get that expertise to know that?
Now, before we continue, so he's trying to again corner her with logic. Are you certified to self-diagnose yourself with whether this was self-mutilation or something? Where do you think she heard that? Where do you think she picked up on that? Again, this is Victimhood 101. Women will always appeal to victimhood because it has always historically, always has and always will work for women because of the protector dynamic, as I mentioned before. Remember when I was talking about this last week and the treating women like children, or why guys have a natural default anyways to treating women like children, is because of that protector dynamic. And the reason why that protector dynamic is part of our evolutionary firmware is because we see women as vulnerable. We see women as victims or potential victims. Women have picked up on that since we were living in tribes on the sub-Saharan, African savannas, right? And hunter-gatherer, women know that the poor me thing works. Why is it that women default to crying when they have an emotional response and men default to anger? Tend to anyways. Our natural proclivity is to default to anger. For women, it's to default to the crying game because it works. It's worked for 100,000 years. That's why. And so now this is right here, what she's talking. This is sort of like the pseudo intellectual, psychological way of playing the crying game. Poor me. I am the victim here because I decided to go and bang another dude. Now, where else did we hear this? Where have we heard that? Well, in the last year anyways. Where have we heard this? In fact, we're still hearing it right now. Maybe Jada Pinkett Smith. Does any of this kind of sound familiar? I'm surprised she hasn't done, it's all about love. It's all about healing. I beat myself up by having 6-hour sex with this guy whose dick I sucked as soon as he walked in the door. Poor me. And you know what? There's probably a chorus of women online who go, yeah, she's right. Sometimes girls just have to get after it with random dudes to beat themselves up. It's an addiction. It's horrible. I can't believe we would default to such a thing. We need to start a focus group, or we need a recovery group for this self-mutilation of knocking it out with knocking it out with a guy that they really want to get with. Sorry.
Well, because I know what it made me feel like, and I know what my motivation was going into it.
What was your motivation going into it?
I feel like crap. I might as well act like the whore that everybody thinks I am. That's exactly what that was. It wasn't here to go fuck Steve. That wasn't what that was.
So when you feel like crap, you go fuck somebody.
It is not a practice.
Have you done it before?
No.
Okay, so it's the first time ever.
Yes.
So for the first time ever in your whole life, you get caught lying, which included using your kid as a weapon over and over and over again, right? And then you use your feelings and emotions for me against me in that, trying to convince me that you aren't lying when you are lying, and by saying, oh, I love you, but you're lying the whole time. And then when you get caught, what you do is you ask a guy to come over and fuck you. And then then you decide to follow up with lying about that.
Yes.
And you lied over. I mean, how many would you say you lied, like 50, 100 times?
Sorry about the audio here.
And so this other guy on here that's saying that you had times to me.
You don't
have any remember that, so no memory there.
Nope. Didn't happen.
Okay.
Can I ask when?
I did.
And?
I get an answer. So when did you start? You're telling me that you were an honest person your whole life up until this point.
That's a stupid question. Like now at this point we're not really even getting into the details so much as like he's trying to punish her psychologically at this stage. Like it's over. And yeah, you guys are right. It's like everything in here is just like, yeah, Jesus Christ, this is a waste of time. Yeah, it is. But remember, this is the thinking though. This is what the average guy thinks is a good idea. That's how you get that show. What was it? The one with Adam Driver in it, the marriage movie. That's why that's a thing. There was another scene. It was Jake Gyllenhaal, and it was, I forget who the other actress was, but it was about infidelity. And the first thing out of the guy's mouth was, "Did you bang him here? Did you bang him over there? Really? Did you go and have sex on the stairs like we used to when you were still hot for me, but now you're not hot for me anymore?" Like that kind. Like it's like guys, women think this is a form of self-torture for guys to sort of imagine their wife or whatever like banging another dude. And in a way it is, but they don't understand the function, the latent purpose behind that, which is the guy wants to know where things happen. And the guy might not even know this himself, right? Again, this is something that's sort of on the limbic level. It's a subconscious thing. And the reason why it's so triggering and it's so like adrenaline generating is because that guy is really what he's trying to do is ascertain whether or not she's been impregnated by another guy. That's what it comes down to. And as I said before, and we'll look here in just a moment, is human beings are promiscuous creatures. We're promiscuous animals. It's in our best biological interests to be so. But we also have to invest in our offspring. We also have to, we are also social animals. So there's a lot of compromise between our promiscuous natures and our sort of monogamous needs to be monogamous. And right now in the 21st, well, I would even argue in the latter half of the 20th century, but certainly in the 21st century, we're trying to reimagine this with, why are the marriage rates so low? Why are the divorce rates are low too? Because nobody's getting married. But why is a poly relationship suddenly a good idea? I think it's a bad idea. But why are we now, floating out this attempt to normalize quote unquote alternative relationship styles? Why? To meet the need to follow along with what really the biological impulse is, what the evolutionary impulse is. Right now, do we need monogamy anymore? Do we need marriage anymore? In an era where women can take care of themselves and make their own damn money and don't need no man except for, a DNA donation now and then. I read this morning, I forget the name of the feminist psych doctor or whatever her name was, talking about how little girls should be taught that they don't need no man, and essentially promoting the idea that young children, little girls, should go WGTOW, right? To just don't bother, just live your own life. You can be happy and just be alone and everything else. And yet in the same breath, we'll go and complain about why the fertility rates are so low in the United States, or what's really happening worldwide as a result of reimagining, how men and women are going to get together and form families and everything else. So we'll keep going.
Okay.
Can I ask when?
I did.
And?
I get an answer. So when did you start? You're telling me that you were an honest person your whole life up to this point. I mean, I would say in the last week you probably, and granted some of them are repetition, but the same topic, you probably lied to me 150, 200 times. Would you say that's fair?
I don't know, I guess. I haven't been keeping track.
After the first 4 or 5 times about this kind of stuff, does it matter if it's 150 or 200?
Sure you have.
Oh, you sure I have? Is that a shot at me?
No.
Oh, then why would you say? Well, you really think I'm keeping a tally of how many times you lie to me? Do you think I'm keeping a record sheet? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be doing this in the first place. You gamma male, secret king cuck.
I think that you're literally keeping a record sheet, but I think that every time it happens, it sticks in your head.
So why should I think you're going to be honest moving forward?
Great on moving forward.
You shouldn't.
Well, you shouldn't.
Does your daughter know that you use her as a weapon?
Please.
It's a legitimate question.
Please.
It's a legitimate. You've done it more than once. Does she know? Does she know?
No! Stop asking me, please. Stop.
So you've been an honest person your whole life up until like the last 2 months. In the last 2 months, you just turned into a pathological liar. And you're blocking all these guys on your phone, and these guys are all talking about sticking their balls in your mouth, and you're having all these sexting conversations, or you're not having.
Not having.
They just think that you are.
I can't even explain Michael to you. I was going to introduce you to him very early on when we first started.
All right,
talking
I don't care about that.
Stop it, because
I don't care to hear.
Well, it matters.
No, it doesn't matter.
It does matter.
No, to you, because you think that matters for me to hear. I don't hear, but you are in fact having people send you messages where they're talking about putting their balls in your mouth and coming all over your chest, and these are guys that you're fucking talking to on a regular basis, and you're dating me.
One guy.
Okay, well, there's a lot of guys on here that sit there talking to you.
No, they're not.
And there's one guy in here talking about fucking you. So you got a guy in here talking about shooting his load on your chest, sticking his balls in your mouth. So that's one guy. Another guy says he has plans with you. And then you got another guy who says he fucked you a week ago. I mean, and those are just the guys that answered.
Damn, Shorty's getting with it. Oh, man. Myron, if you're watching, you got to find out who this is and get her on the show. I think this would she would make a very good guest.
He did fuck me a week ago.
Oh, I know. He did fuck you a week ago. And so you got this. So you got one guy talking about sticking his balls in your mouth and fucking shootings come all over your face. That's one guy. And then there's this other guy saying, well, we got to get together and keep our plans because you've had plans that just haven't met. And then you got this other guy who did fuck you a week ago. I mean,
sorry, I know this is a family show, but this is in the interest of science.
So, but yet you're dating me and you love me,
Yes.
and you're trying to persuade me that's true. But yet, you're fucking having all these fucking conversations or acts with other guys. That's who you are. That is who you are. Right? I mean, is this guy fucking messaging you talking about shooting his load on your face? Yeah. Putting his balls in your mouth? Yeah.
Notice how detailed this is. Remember, this is Adam Driver or Jake Gyllenhaal going around the room saying, did you get him here? Did you get it there? Well, did he do this? Did he do that? Remember, it's detail oriented. Men, when it comes to jealousy and when it comes to infidelity, are focused primarily on the details, on the physical side of things. This is why he's getting into this.
Does he know exactly what you like? Yeah. He wants you say can be, who cares what it would mean? He happens to know you like your nipples being pinched. He knows that you like being spanked, right? He knows that you like fucking balls in your mouth. He knows all these things because you told him. And you're conversing with this guy who knows how often. Per you have to block him because he blows up all the time, but you just happened to block him yesterday when you met me. But that's you. That's who you're dealing with. And then you have the audacity when I openly tell you about friends that I have that are female that I occasionally talk to. Some I wouldn't even call friends, I don't like. Until they felt bad because they're in miserable shape. But I occasionally talk to them, and I'm totally honest with you about them, and I let you see every message. You bust my balls when you're doing this shit. And you bust my balls left and right about them when you're doing this shit.
Right. Now, let's review a little bit here, because this is just what he was talking about. And this is a common thing that I get from guys who are in like either long-term, like very long marriages, is they can't believe that once they get divorced that well, first of all, how quickly their wives moved on afterwards. The second of all is they can't believe that they put up with being shamed and run up the flagpole and just being pilloried, I guess, for for things that aren't even close to the kinds of like sex acts or whatever. Like I think guys tend to think that they're getting their woman's sexual best if they are married to that woman. I'm gonna bring up an old Rational Male essay here, and have put it in. I believe I put it in book 2, but it's called "Saving the Best." And this is, I think, and this is a very blue pill beta way of thinking about sex and long term. I think a lot of guys think that, well, once you get in a monogamous relationship and then you love her and she loves you and things are going along, it's a lot of work and you got to do date night and you got to keep it fresh and all this other stuff. They think that they're getting their woman's sexual best. And usually that sexual best was with the hot guy in the foam cannon party back on spring break in Cancun. When I was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another. I was so crazy. I had all my fun. I had my fun. No more fun, right? I was so crazy in college, but now I've learned my lesson. Now I want to get right with God. Now I want to do things the right way. And you better shape up. No sex with you until I get a ring on it, kind of thing. And then that guy finds out what her sexual past really is. And that's kind of what this guy's doing right here. It's like, you're giving me grief about, where are you? What are you doing? Surveillance, right? Like, you're giving me grief about me being out with other women, or me being even working with other women, or maybe some third party said that, some other girl found me attractive or something, or like, the waitress at the restaurant flirted with me and you lost your shit because of that. But yet here you are with 6 different guys online who are, doing all these, very graphic things, or suggesting things that you're jizzing on your chest, that kind of stuff. Right. And what that really is, again, it's an appeal to reason. It's an appeal to logic. So how come it's okay for you to do it, but it's not okay for me to do it? How come you give me grief where you're the one who's actually committing adultery with multiple guys and doing all this other stuff, where I'm supposed to be your husband, or you're the guy, I don't know if they're dating or whatever, but I'm supposed to be the guy who's getting your sexual best. And here you are, making rules for me and breaking rules for them. And this is the biggest rule to break, right? I mean, here's your marriage vows. Here's your, I'm committed to you. We've got an arrangement. We're in an LTR. And that is breaking a rule. When a woman who is married will cheat with you, that is a woman who is ready to break a rule to bang you because she sees you as her best option. Women make rules for betas and they break rules for alphas. So that I mentioned that in the 5th book. That is very much a key theme in the Player's Handbook, in the book on game that I'm working on right now, which is in its 2nd round of edits as of today. But I talk about that is if you really want to test interest in a woman, or if you really want to see where you stand, I don't understand. She's sending me mixed messages, Rollo. Bullshit. She's not sending you mixed messages. All you have to ask is one very simple question. Is she making rules for you, or is she breaking rules for you? That's what it comes down to. This woman was ready to break rules so that she could go have a good time with guys who were answering that hypergamous doubt question. Is he the best I can do? Well, the guy I'm with clearly isn't. So let's see if this guy is. It's David Buss calls it. David Buss is a little bit more, I think, socially analytical, and so he's got this idea of mate switching hypothesis. And I'm going to write something about this once I'm done with his book. But I think it's kind of a half measure almost. But there are some good aspects to it. So what David Buss would say, I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I think with analysis here was that she's trying to switch to a better mate, and the social order is behind her. The legislative order is behind her. And yes, I know. Okay, you can't out alpha the state. Thank you. There's your black pill moment, guys. There's your MGTOW. Okay, shalom aleichem. Go with God. Okay, yes. You can't out alpha the state. She has the state behind her. If she wanted to have him kicked out right now, all she would have to do is call the cops and say, he was verbally abusing me and it's on tape. And that's all that would matter. And he'd go off and he'd have to be still paying the rent of the apartment or the house that she's in right now. He'd still be responsible for that. And he'd be out, because that's a gynocentric social order. That's not sorry. That's the way it works. And she probably knows. She definitely has some contempt for this guy. In fact, he picks up on that. Well, you enjoying this? That in the back of her head, she's like, yeah, really. And she probably should, because the guy is this really super analytical guy who's like, he's like spreadsheet guy. You know, keep every incident in the back of your head. What was this? If a woman will cheat on you, she will cheat on you. I found out I was much younger. Okay, thank you, Blue Pill Unplugged. I will get back to your supers here in a minute.
That's you. But you just became that person.
Never cared enough before.
Well, you never cared enough before, so you did it and you just didn't care. Well, wait. Well, caring and not caring, two different things. I mean, you could have been married, which you were, and not cared. So that, in theory, what you're saying is that you would have done a lot more of that because you didn't care. You're saying with me, you care, right? And if you care, then you...
Deep into snow, you called it. You're right. She doesn't care at this point, and he's finally figuring that out. I'm glad you picked up on that.
I would think this kind of conduct would be curtailed. So when you don't care, it's going to increase. Oh, so it didn't increase when you didn't care.
It didn't. And
wait, so what? Okay. Well, I want to understand that. Okay,
well, I was going to try to explain it to you.
But I don't want to ramble. I just want a very direct answer. So you're telling me that when you don't care, you cheat less. So if you care less about a guy, like you contend that you didn't care about your husband too much, or it wasn't that much, you weren't that close, you've said that, right? Okay. So you had a limited relationship with him, didn't feel like about him the way you do about me, right? Okay. But you didn't cheat. So, but you have this elevated, I think you said first time you've ever loved anybody, but it's also the first time you've ever sucked cock and cheated and then lied emphatically about it.
She smiled. And smile right there. Did you guys catch that smile? Yeah, you guys are probably right. You guys are probably right.
Utilized your daughter as a shield multiple times.
Yep, cult of the child. There it is. Again, you've heard me say this before. Women and social structures will use their children. Will use children as an ideological human shield. In this case, it's a shield to sort of distract or defer blame.
In doing so, so when you care about somebody, then you fuck them over. That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
Okay, that's who you are. So
there's a motivation behind it, or not a motivation, but a...
So when you care about somebody, that's when you fuck them over.
What I'm telling you is that I've never cared about anybody before.
Okay, but you never cheated before either.
I don't know how to do this, and it scares the hell out of me.
Okay, but...
And I think that this was... I'm going to finish my thought.
Well, but
I'm going to finish my thought.
Well, but okay, really?
Yeah,
are you...
I'm gonna finish it.
Oh, really? So you're really upset, are you? You're traumatized by sucking cock.
There you go.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you can tell. So when you didn't care about somebody, you never cheated your whole life?
Nope.
Okay. So only time you cared, you told me I'm the only person you ever loved. That's when you cheated.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry about the video. It's not my fault. It's this dude. It'll swing back here in just a second. It's almost over. Then we're gonna move on. But do you notice what's happening here? You see the dynamic between the two of them. Like I never loved anybody before you. Yeah, but you're still banging these other guys. Why is that? Because this guy probably satisfies the provider role very well. Sounds like the guy kind of sounds like a Gama, right? He sounds like certainly like a secret king Gama. Like people should appreciate how smart I am. And again, like I said, I have to still kind of wonder whether this is a setup or not. It doesn't seem like a setup. And if you guys think it is, please let me know. I don't think it is. But when she's talking about this stuff, it still locks in, or it still makes sense, because she's like, well, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. I'm sure you've heard that one before. Or most married guys, when they're living in sexless relationships or marriages or whatever, that's usually the case. I love you. You're such a great guy, but I'm not in love with you. If that conversation, by the way, if that realization happens for women earlier on, like while they're still single, that's when you get the wait for me speech, right? Or the wait for me joke. It's the friends, the Ross and Rachel situation, right? Well, if we're both, when we get to hit 30, if we're both single, then we'll get married because you're such a great guy. Oh, thanks. You're such a great girl. Well, we're going to go and experience our 20s and bang whoever we want, try to find the guy who's the best fit for us. But if we don't find that guy or that girl, then we're just going to you're going to get married at 30 years old. You give a guy that kind of hope, he's going to probably just be like try to wait. He's going to play the long game for like a decade and hope that Rachel is still going to be into him when he hits 30. And hopefully he'll have made partner in the law firm or whatever. What was Ross? Ross was an anthropologist. He dinosaur, doctor by that time. And so he's making money. And that is the most fucked up joke I think I have ever heard, because it essentially belittles, let's just say, men's sexual strategy, and at the same time it maximizes and optimizes women's sexual strategy. Only in the 90s is that a funny joke, because most guys, in prior generations would have said, screw you, I'm going to go do what I'm going to do, kind of thing. I can take a hint. I get it when in fact, I would say prior generations, that discussion or that joke wouldn't even have happened, but it happens, or it's funny, or we can understand it. It's relatable because we understand women's innate, I think on some level, their innate sexual strategy, which is alpha fucks, beta bucks. What is this guy? What do you think this guy, where does he fall under? Is she making rules for him, or is she breaking rules for him? She will break rules for guys who rock her world, who she wants to, get off the moment they get in the door. She'll break those rules, literally breaking a very, her vow or marriage vows to do that. But she will still make rules for him if he even refers or talks about like women at work or something like that. I can't remember what he was saying, but you get the picture. Those are the rules. You're not supposed to talk to anybody, blah, 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 blah. Well, meanwhile, she's banging those other guys. And she probably has no concept of the cognitive dissonance that is part of this. Now, I don't want to get too analytical here, because yes, it's a waste of time. As I said before, the moment she cheats is the moment you hit the point of diminishing returns with that woman. Now, I will reiterate this. This is straight out of my first book, and I think I'm going to have to paraphrase it because I don't remember the exact words. But when a woman cheats on you, that's an automatic next. You want to know why the seventh iron rule of Tomassi is never root through garbage once you've taken the can out to the curb, because what you thought was valuable inside the trash is never worth looking for. It's not what you thought it was, and people see you getting yourself filthy in the trash. And the reason for that is because it is always time better spent developing new relationships and new women and new perspective and developing new plates. Hopefully you take me seriously when it comes to plate theory and dating non-exclusively, but it's time better spent developing new relationships, or going out and just approaching, right, is a better use of your time than trying to repair a relationship like this. Who's going to tell this guy, you know what, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you need to get with this girl? Who's going to say that? There's a lot of guys that will. There's a lot of women that will, and we're going to look at one here in just a second. Oh, that's okay. She's just self-mutilating. She has real problems. She's dealing with depression, and her form of catharsis is to bang random guys for 6 hours at a clip. That sounds like logic. That sounds like, oh, well, I'm a victim anyways, or I'm vulnerable, and so therefore I can use that. It's the same rationality that Jada Pinkett Smith was using when she got caught, and she tried to spin it as if it's an entanglement. Well, stop acting so crazy. We all do. It's all about love. And it's like, and whatever Oprah-esque, euphemism we can throw out there. The fact of the matter is that mentality, or that lack of cognitive dissonance, is a key function of hypergamy. If I can convince myself that it's okay to go and break rules for the alphas that I knock it out with, and I can still expect this guy to, first of all, not to be a provider and invested in me, and I love him. You're the first guy I've ever loved. Yeah. Well, that sounds like a pretty fucked up place to be, because that's what you're doing. That's the sort of the arrangement. You remember why I was talking about how human beings are innately promiscuous, but we are monogamous by choice. That choice has to have compromise, has to include compromise. Prior to the sexual revolution, prior to hormonal birth control, women will say, well, we were this patriarchal society repressed women's sexuality. Yeah. As a function of that compromise, and also ideally would repress men's sexual interests and men's innate mating strategy as well, because it was not a good thing for you to commit adultery. We used to have. Did you ever read when you were in high school? Did you ever read a book called this? Maybe you don't now, but like I remember when I was in high school, you had to read this book called The Scarlet Letter. And if there was an adulteress in, I think it was colonial America, there was an adulteress and she had to wear the scarlet letter as an A on her chest, right? Because she was an adulteress. And I think what the whole book was like how she wasn't, and they were trying to, prove her innocence kind of thing. But it was like this illustration of a society that actually respected the compromise, the legalistic compromise, or the agreement that, okay, if we're going to be in a marriage together, I will forsaking all others. That's part of the traditional marriage vows. Till death do us part, sickness and in health, for richer or for poor, to love, honor, and obey. Right, forsaking all others. That's also part of that as well. That applies to the guy, and it should have applied to the guy and the girl way back in the day. Now we're going to make up our own subjective, vows and go, well, we're going to live our truth. Some new age bullshit vows, right? But the old school, under old school marriage, at least as part of the conventional marriage vows, that was included. So it was a compromise of men's innate mating strategy versus a compromise of women's innate mating strategy. Old order thinking, but probably like 19th, 18th century thinking even. So there was a reason that existed, because we understood women's nature and men's nature in ways that we at least are, if we're not oblivious to, we're just conveniently ignore. And this is one of those episodes right now where we look at the conflict between that compromise, and really that's what monogamy is. It's a compromise of our innate mating strategies to do something in favor of parental investment. We have to invest in our offspring. We have to have, okay, I promise to protect you, provide for you, and be parentally invested. That's the 3 Ps of the beta buck side of hypergamy. The alpha fuck side, the alpha seed side, is where this chick is at right now. And so essentially what she's doing is she's trying to balance the hypergamous equation. I love you. I don't know why I do these things. I beat myself up. It's a bad thing that I do these, but you should feel sorry for me because I can't figure these things out. I have a problem. I have a disease. I have a psychological disorder, whatever it is. I'm self-mutilating by having porn sex with. Somebody was saying in the chat she should start an OnlyFans channel. She probably already has. If she hasn't, she's probably making a good chunk of change on this. An adulterous woman will lie, eat spit, and say she's done no wrong. Proverbs. Okay, yeah. Maybe that, okay. You could probably find similar quotes in the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, wherever else. But yeah, you're right. It's commonly known, or at least it's better understood, I think.
What do you think your daughter would say if she knew how you used her? Oh, I think it's an honest question.
It's none of your business.
None of my business? Well, you lied to me using her. Why isn't it my business?
You keep bringing it up.
But why isn't that my business?
You're not going to be involved in her life.
Well,
let it go.
You introduced her via your lies multiple times by using her as an excuse. But now I'm asking you about it.
All you're doing right now is twisting the knife.
No, I'm just asking. I'm asking you how she would feel.
You keep asking me, and you keep telling me what an awful person I am.
Answer the question.
What an awful mother I am. I understand how you feel. And you're probably not wrong.
You use your daughter for lies.
So I'm telling you.
I mean, you brought her in the equation, not me. Be upset with yourself.
I am upset with myself.
Okay, well, just answer the question. How do you think she would feel if she knew that you used her as a shield for your lies?
I'm sure she would not like it.
Do you think you're setting a good example for her?
Of course not.
And you deal with kids every fucking day.
No, I don't.
You tell me you do. Expulsion hearings, you tell me you do them all the time.
I do, but not every day.
Okay,
I'm not an educator. I'm an administrator. It doesn't matter.
But yet you have. But you don't have any moral character. How do you just get to stand in judgment?
I do have moral character.
How?
I do have moral character.
Wow. Okay, that's it. That was the end of the stream. I got some other stuff. I got another clip here I want to run by you guys as well. But I thought that was you can look at the cognitive dissonance in live in real time in this. And what I mean by that is, I've said before, I'll just reiterate real quickly here, is that when it comes to optimizing hypergamy, cognitive dissonance in women is a feature and not a bug. So when we talk about cognitive dissonance, we're talking about holding two conflicting ideals or two conflicting concepts at the same time and being invested in those at the same time. Now, when men do this, we say they're wishy-washy, or we say that they're fickle, or they're flip-floppers, or we say that they're just simply, they're confused, or there's something wrong with that. They say one, they're hypocrites, right? They say one thing and they do another. And you will constantly hear, hell, I've been called this a million times, right? How can you say spin plates and then expect, you red pill guys want a virgin bride, right? How can you hold those conflicting concepts, right? That's one that I get thrown at all the time. But when we talk about like women wanting to say, well, I love you, but I'm banging these guys. What was the other one? Like my poor girls illustration, and POUR girls, one of the girls I work with on promos. I've as I said before, I've heard them, overheard them, eavesdropped on them several times, where it's like, would you go out or would you bang a guy on the first night? And they would giggle and Twitter and say, hey, I would, or I have, but not if he was boyfriend material. What that is that's a kind of this humorous acknowledgement of women make rules for betas and they break rules for alphas. So when guys say to me like, women don't want to be seen as sluts, right? Oh, and probably rightly so, but not so but what pushes them past that? Here we have this girl who's clearly has been, this woman who's married with kids, who has been pushed past a point where she's willing to, be duplicitous, and probably had this guy not been clever enough to figure this out, she probably would still be doing it and balancing that cognitive dissonance. Any cognitive dissonance that has anything to do with hypergamy, women have no problem with, as long as it leads to an optimization of hypergamy, which of course is alpha seed and beta need. So if we got a guy that is the alpha ideal, and you want to, it's like, was it Sexy Son's theory, right? I want the guy who has the big peacock tail, right? I want the guy who is the best genetic material that I can get, but he's not necessarily the best provider. And I'm already have these entanglements with my beta provider, who is of course a gamma male who would never understand this kind of stuff, or who gets, like she said, oh, he's twisting the knife. Well, yeah, of course he is, because that's what he wants. He's doing it for himself, his own edification. He's doing it because he wants you to be accountable. He wants you to feel some sort of pain that he's feeling as well. Yeah, well, it's understandable. It's psychological. She shouldn't even be sitting there. They shouldn't even be having this conversation. She should just simply say, okay, it's done. When a guy cheats on his wife, the first thing guys will say, well, that's real shitty. You should break up with her first. Like there's a right way to do it, a right way and a wrong way to do it. Well, you should just break up with her first and don't cheat on her, and then be single. And if that's where your head is at, then that's what you ought to be doing. You shouldn't be like with a woman, or you shouldn't be with this girl. You should just, break your commitment, because that's really what it is. I'm committed to you. Now this is not working out. I want to bang some other chicks. You break that commitment, and then so what's worth it to you, to break the commitment or to cheat on her? That's what it comes down to. And guys, especially blue pill guys, when it comes to like intra-sexual competition, that's sort of the standard, the criteria men will hold other men to. How many of this that's a really good, thought. I didn't know, wasn't going to cover this, but how many women do you think have her back right now? How many women will go, you know what? I understand. I understand why you would do this. How many women knew about what she was doing and didn't tell that guy, or how many women knew and he was suspicious? They said, don't worry about it. The guy you're not supposed to worry about, right? How many women had her back? I don't know, but I can point you in the direction of forums where women will get together and collude about such things. Like, what is it? The forums where there's a black market for positive pregnancy tests, so that guys will, think that they are, and that their girlfriend's pregnant. Again, that's not illegal, I should say. But women will collude. Hell, there's daytime talk shows where they'll say, "Oh yeah, here's how you get him. Here's how you get him to commit. He needs to commit." The sisterhood is great at anything, particularly when it comes to consolidating consolidating and optimizing hypergamy for women, other girls in the sisterhood that they have no idea. They don't know them personally. They just know that they're a woman. They're on team woman. And so what they will do is they'll say, oh, try this. This is what I did to get my guy to commit. And it's just kind of third party suggestion. But the fact that that's acceptable, but if the guy is banging some other girl on the side and their guy friends are just like, either they're disapproving of it or they're going to be the ones who are going to like drop the hammer on that guy. So when and I'm sure women will say, oh no, there's lots of guys that have their bros back or whatever. Like, yeah, but they don't have forums. They don't have daytime talk shows that build that up, that make that socially normalize that in society, in a gynocentric society. We don't get that. We can't laugh about, we can't make television commercials about that, about open hypergamy, right? What do you want, Torsha? Thought Mommy's in Club. Yes. I should have led with that as the theme song for today. Now, what the hell is Rollo talking about? I will get to that in just a moment here. What did you say? Torsha's going to give me big ups. Thank you. Like this video. Yes. Thank you, T. Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
Let's see. Okay, now I'm going to throw up one more video here. This is from the roommates. And actually, before I do that, I want to let me put up some stats here. I didn't pull these out for nothing. I want to put this one up here real quick. I got this from was it Barry Kaufman, Scott Barry Kaufman, another PhD, another doctor, a sexologist, right? This is actually from, I think it was a 2019 or 2020 article. Women are actually more likely than men to express interest in non-monogamous relationships and be able to handle the logistics of making it work. And this was the summary. This was the thing. Justin Lehmiller is actually the guy that I follow, but I don't know who Scott Barry Kaufman is, but Justin Lehmiller is the one that I follow here. And so I think that's really interesting, is that women are actually more likely than men to express interest in non-monogamous relationships. I'm building this up for a reason. So when we get to the video, you'll understand what I'm saying. But the part that got me was this, is that they are more able to handle the logistics of making it work. Why do you suppose that is? Why is it easier for women to handle promiscuity, cuckolding, which is really what infidelity is in terms of women, is cuckoldry, or the potential for cuckoldry? Well, women have sexual needs, and if you're not making her, if you're not meeting those needs, she's going to look outside the marriage. Okay, is it guy's responsibility? She tries to make it his responsibility early on in that video. Oh, mutilating myself. What that is it's an appeal to victimhood. It's an appeal to vulnerability. It's an appeal to, I have a disease. I need help. I wouldn't have to do this if it weren't for you. I'm not saying that's what she's saying, but I think that a lot of, especially whenever you see instances of infidelity, you will see the sisterhood has that woman's back. Yeah. If you had been, and I should say trad cons and guys who are like selling you this neo-masculine, bullshit, like, oh, her infidelity is your fault. If you'd been more of a man, if you'd been on your game and been on your purpose and everything, she wouldn't have cheated on you. And now she did. She felt like she had to. She broke the rules to fuck the alpha guy in the foam cannon party. And it's really your fault that she did that. Women know that too. Women know that they'll get that traditional, like that old order, for lack of a better term, trad con thinking, because it's not specifically trad con thinking, but it's the idea that if men were more responsible, women would be better women. Bullshit. Women have to be held accountable to some degree. At what point, what stage do we get to say, okay, maybe I could have upped my game. Maybe I could have been in the gym more. Maybe I could have been less of a Gama and had Excel spreadsheets to figure out when you were, not having sex with me, right? Maybe I could have done all this. Okay, great. I'm even willing to go meet you halfway. But at what point is it on her? Because right now, in a gynocentric social order, it's not on her. And it ain't never going to be on her, because the sisterhood has her back. And there's enough guys who want to go, yeah. If that guy had been a better guy, she would have been a better woman. Bullshit. We live in a time where women have unprecedented, in human history, have unprecedented access to a global sexual marketplace. The idea of the hypergamous doubt, which is he the best I can do, is something that is a constant droning in the subroutines of women's hindbrain all the time. Is he the best I can do? Is he the best I can do? You know, hopefully, if you're alpha enough, right? If you're the guy who's on his game and on his purpose, and she has admiration for you and genuine desire for you, you're the guy, you're the best guy that she can do. And again, it's also by context, because the best guy that 23-year-old girl gets is not going to be the same guy that when she's 33, 43, 53, 63. Because she cannot, at some level of consciousness, she needs to acknowledge, or she should anyways, in the past, they should acknowledge that I'm 43 right now. I can't compete with my 23-year-old self. Not to have social media tell it, because right now the popular narrative is, doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter how fat you are, doesn't matter how bitchy and entitled and hubristic you are, doesn't matter whether, you know, you got your own business, you got your own career, you got your own education, all this other stuff. Men should want you be beating down your door. And to a degree, yeah. When it comes to the global sexual marketplace, yes, but it's by order of degree. So when that woman is at 33, 43, 53 years old, her market value has shifted dramatically. And that's just 10-year increments. So it's all perception. I'm going to do a video about perception here, probably within a week or so. That said, that one of the reasons why I say that, you know, hypergamy is not a straitjacket. That's why I say that. So let me see what else I got going here. I have a few others. What else did you say? I'm going to try to catch up a little bit before I put this video out, but I wanted to put that on there. Women have a much easier time. Oh, thank you for that, my friend. Women have a much easier time with the logistics of spinning plates, but certainly have much easier time with infidelity. Now, I put this stat up before. If you want to go and look at this, I don't have it queued up, but I did a post way back in 2015, 2016. And it's called Plan B. And Plan B, you'll also find that in my third book. And Plan B is that they've done these polls, and they're still doing them, by the way. I think there's more recent ones, but long story short, women hold backup mates. Another thing that was covered in The Ape That Understood the Universe, also Men Behaving Badly. It is this sort of keep them in a bullpen kind of thing. I think it was it Chris Rock? Chris Rock was the one that sits a dick in the emergency behind the glass, right? In case of breakup, break glass, right? It's that emergency plan. Again, it goes hand in hand with the mate switching theory of David Buss, which I want to talk about as well. But that backup plan, that's acceptable, and we can manage those things. Women can manage those things, but men cannot manage those things, or they're not supposed to be managing those things. So there's the backup plan. There's the Plan B. And women, again, once again, cognitive dissonance. Do you have a backup plan? Yeah, I do. At least like something like 50 or 60% of women were saying that they had a backup plan. They had a backup guy who's still on the hook or still wants to get with them if they break up with their man. I don't know, Facebook and social media probably facilitates this a whole lot easier than it used to be. But the fact remains is that's cognitive dissonance. Why are you keeping a backup guy? Why are you talking to these? And I can't, why is that why, how can you balance that cognitive dissonance? Well, they can, because one or the other is going to lead to optimizing hypergamy, or at least the belief is, or the perception that it could exists. And therefore we've got to find ways to normalize it. And when you get enough of the sisterhood to go, yeah, I have a backup plan too. Yeah, good idea. We got to get ours, girl. We got to watch out for ourselves. Or WGTOW, right? We got to teach our little girls that they can't depend on men, and we've got to make sure that they're independent and they are making their own decisions and everything, and make them empowered. But yet they still want to get with guys. They still want the hot guy in the foam cannon party, right? So when it comes to the logistics of all that, it's easier for women to do that because women have greater social networks than guys, and also different standards as well. And then this was, what was this? Oh, this is the patterns of parental investment that are predicted across culture variations and jealousy response. So when I was talking about jealousy, I highlighted the point. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But there is a difference, a qualifiable difference between what triggers and what prompts jealousy in women and in men. Okay. So in line with the previous work, we found this was, I'll give you I will put the link in the description. Okay. So give me a break here. By the way, I have to sort of keep up with this too. when it comes to like, oh, how come we don't have, where are the chapters? I can't watch a 2-hour video. This long form stuff is just breaking my back. And it's like, well, can you please give me one day? I've got Eduardo now. Thanks. You will get timestamps. Promise you. In line with previous work, we find a robust sex difference in the classical forced choice jealousy task. However, we also show substantial variation in jealousy response at cross populations. So it's not just Western populations. This is a human constant. Jealousy is a thing because we're human beings. Using parental investment theory, we derive several predictions about what might trigger such variation. We find that greater parental investment and lower frequency of extramarital sex are associated with more severe jealousy response. Thus, partner jealousy appears to be a facultative response, reflective of variable risks and costs of men's investment across society. Jealousy is not a social construct. Wokies, blank slaties, social constructionies. It's not, oh, you're insecure in your masculinity. This guy sounds like he's insecure. No, he's jealous because that's the way the machine works and has worked for 100,000 years and will continue to work that way. And last but not least, this is also from that same thing. Oh, damn it. Hang on. Can't see over the stats there. Okay. The field of psychology is sometimes criticized for studying weird samples. Weird, by the way, stands for Western educated, industrialized, and I can't remember what are, and then democratic societies. So it's an acronym. Oh, here it is. Western educated, industrial, rich, and democratic. That criticism does not apply to the study of sex differences in jealousy. Led by evolutionary anthropologist Brooke Schelze, a large research team administered the same test to 11 different populations, mostly small traditional foraging societies that are decidedly non-weird. These included the Himba Nambia, and so the Mayanga in Nicaragua and the Hadza of Tanzania, the Karo of Batak. These are great to pronounce, of Indonesia, and the Shaur of Ecuador, the Yazawa of Fiji, and the I'm throwing this. Sialza and her research team found strong support for the universality of the sex difference. Men, more than women in every culture, indicated greater upset about a partner's sexual than emotional infidelity, precisely as predicted. One Himba man explained his reaction this way: when a man has sex with your wife, it means he eats your cattle and your things, referring to the resources that must now be given to the children from his wife's affair. In short, Himba men want to avoid diverting their resources to a rival man's children, a cost incurred due to his wife's sexual intercourse with another man. There you have it. Jealousy is part of the machine. It's what you part of life, brothers. What'd you say, Albert? Thank you very much. Instead of being honest, funny how women justify their actions under the guise of or because of emotional trauma. Yes, because the first thing they do is, again, default to emotion. If you can't win with logic, you go back to emotion. And in an era of emotionalism, that is it's the most common tactic. There's a reason for it. And let's see who else is left in here. Chris Black. I first date the other night with a woman in the epiphany phase stage, stood her ground, then backtracked on her requirements. Of course, when she noticed I was looking for the door, what you say is spot on. She even tried to pay me back for the date. I'm sorry. Here's your investment back, money back guarantee. I'm in the epiphany phase. You get a money back guarantee. Yep. Well, what did you say? Exacholacho. Oh, ex Jason. Sorry, couldn't tell. Thought that was a funky name. It is tough to explain to men at my church about healthy boundaries with women and holding them accountable for their actions. I've been in countless run-around conversations with men about attitudes, good and bad, in women. Yeah, and you will continue to be, because church is cucked. Actually, religion is cooked. Go read my new book on religion is available on Audible now. So all the people who don't read can now listen to it. Please do. I'm glad you do. I'm glad you like it. I try my best. I love Audible, by the way. I listen to Audible books myself, so I can't really criticize people who don't read all that much. I read quite a bit. I read, paperback books. I have heavy, print books too. But like when I'm in the car, if I'm driving to band practice or something, I'm always listening to a book. So, because I want to focus on my own music, not somebody else's. Unless it's Lamb of God. Is a cheater a good investment for another man? Would a cheater be less sensitive to hypergamy buffers? No, and I'll tell you why. Is most guys, when they've there comes a point where you have to repress that innate jealousy instinct. This is why I have a problem with poly, by the way, because I think a lot of like Lauren Southern or whoever, like that kind of like tradcon mentality thinks that the red pill is all about spinning plates and it's all about banging anything on two legs and it's all about your notch count, makes you gives you a bigger dick or something like that. That's absolutely not the case. It's what they want to use to dismiss all of that, but that's not the case. So when I have a problem with poly, or I have a problem with polyamory, and Lord knows, I get blocked by Dr. Jeffrey Miller because of this, is you should know Jeffrey Miller should know better than to try to promote poly when he knows what he knows about the jealousy instinct in human beings. Because what essentially is saying is, you want to talk about hypocrites. It's essentially saying that we can rise above that jealousy instinct and that we should rise above that jealousy instinct. We have had human males and like this guy's a really good example, but gives this woman the third degree, turned the lamp on her. Where were you on the night of the 14th? That guy the reason why that's satisfying, the reason why you guys are putting ones in the chat, like, remember what I told you, I said, wait for the rise, right? Wait for the adrenaline kick. That always comes in, by the way, when you found out that the woman your suspicions are confirmed. And now you figured out that she's actually banging another guy. Now we go down to this sort of the idea of where were you? What were you doing? Did he, put his nuts in your mouth or jizz on your chest or whatever he was saying in the clip, right? That's important. I wonder if like the tribal cultures that they did that they got that data from. I wonder if they like got into that kind of detail, right? Or the cultures when they were asked that, the guys were like, yes, I wouldn't want Amanda. Teabag my wife. But why is that a thing? Why is it that it's a feature and not a bug in the human machine? Because it served our species for so well. Guys who were jealous, guys who mate guarded, guys who were suspicious, guys were like, why does that guy keep coming around here? Those guys, or even their families, like having a protective father, having a protective brother. That altruism, it's tribal altruism, but it's like really protection of mating rights for that female, right? She can't make her own decisions. She doesn't know that this guy's a scumbag. I do. I'm older. I can kick his ass and send him away. And she doesn't know. And I know what's best for her. Now, whether that's the case or not in the 21st century, that's immaterial. The machine thinks that. The machine has developed or the human machine has developed into what it is as a result of that. That's why it's a vestige. But we're smarter than that. We're going to say, you know what? That is insecurity now. We don't need to worry. We know about it now and we can eroticize it. We can make cuckold porn. We can make it normal for guys to, go, honey, go on out onto Tinder and go bang who you want to, because I know you have needs. Well, that's okay. Like this guy, this whole thing right here, this whole jealousy instinct right here, this whole thing where he's just, grilling this girl. Oh, that just flies out the window because he's just an insecure man and he should let her go and bang guys. There's guys who are very well thought of, intellectuals in academia who would probably agree with that, who would say, you know what, that's fine. Go ahead. Be a cuck. It's fine. It's good. She has her needs. You have your needs. You can go get those needs met too. If you want to go out to the ranches in Nevada, go ahead. You can go do it too. That's on you. She can't meet all your needs. So you should be able to as well. Right? But why? Why does that exist? Again, intimate partner violence occurs as a result of that. Man on man violence occurs as a result of that. Why does a guy want to go kill the guy that just banged his wife? No, well, kill the rival. There's now This is speculative. I drew this from David Buss's book, but the data, this is the idea anyways. This is the theory. Is that when men like knee their pregnant wife in the gut, right, to sort of force an abortion or to find some way to sort of like punish her because the guy is so suspicious that that kid that's being gestated inside of her is not his kid, that it triggers infanticide in guys. It's very similar to sort of like the lion, the new alpha male lion that comes into the pride and it kills off all the babies of his rival that he probably just killed or drove off. And it sends by that infanticide, by killing all the little kittens, the lion kittens, it sends the females in the pride into estrus so he can impregnate them. Ugly. Yes. Immoral. Horrible. Infanticide is bad, bad, bad. But it's also a feature, not a bug. It's a feature of the reproductive success of that particular species. I'm not saying it's right. In fact, I think it's very, very wrong, but that's the theory. And so that's how important, that's the significance of the human jealousy response. So to say, don't worry, we're smarter than that. Don't worry, we should, sublimate our jealousy instinct, because if we should shame guys for that jealousy instinct, particularly in the gynocentric social order where women run free. We were saying, unregulated marketplace, unfettered hypergamy. They run free and they can go bang who they want to. They can deal with alpha fucks and beta bucks, and it doesn't have to be in the same guy. And you know what? Bravo, girl, you get yours. We'll reward that instead of punish that. And how do I know that? Because we're just about to watch this chick here in a second who's gonna, I forget her name, on the Roommates podcast. Sorry. Chris Black, did I get to you? I think I did. And then who else is here in the chat? Torsha is all over the chat. Thank you, Torsha. I should make you a mod. Tacos. Thank you, tacos. Always appreciate the tacos. Thank you. Bring us back to the reality that we need to be in. Miggy Tao. Have you found any concrete evidence that promiscuous women are less capable of pair bonding? Yes. I would like to see the evidence of this, as I have not. There's actually tons of it. It's okay. So by pair bonding, it kind of depends on what you mean by pair bonding. Marriage, because women with higher notch counts report lower satisfaction in marriage. I got the data for that. I've done several episodes. There's a lot of guys have done that. The data sets for that are all over the place. That's number one. They report higher levels of unhappiness later on in life. What was the other one? I mean, there's the STD thing, but it's the higher incidences of divorce as a result. Like women who have no partners, they're virgin bride. Their incidence of divorce is like next to nothing. Anywhere between 1 and 3, it goes up. Anywhere from 4 to 7, it skyrockets. Anywhere from 7 to 10 or 12, it even goes up further. And then when you get to like beyond 10, which is funny to me because like the women that I've talked to on Fresh and Fit, when we say, what's your body count? They've all been like well above 10. Like, and you're talking about like 19-year-old girls, 20-year-old girls with a body count of like 17 or 21 or 22. Yeah, the data's out there. I'll dig it up for you, MGTOW. There, if you really want me to, I'll go dig that up. But I've done several episodes on that. I've got stats for it. In fact, I've got stats for that in my stat folder. I used that actually. I quoted those stats in book 4 in the marriage section of book 4, which is a pretty substantial section of book 4. Yes, I'm trying. What was that? Wait. That was funny. I am not suggesting that it's okay for lions to kill baby lions. bad big alpha male lion. Thanks, Alex, for that. No, I'm not suggesting that. Yeah, and please hit the like button. Thank you very much. Even though it does nothing for impressions or engagement, please do. What did you say? Hey, Rollo, when is your book on game coming out? I'm hoping by the end of this month or probably but within the first couple of weeks of November. It was pretty easy going. So honestly, I could have had it out this month, but I don't want it to compete with the Audible version of book 4. Once sales for that have kind of leveled off, then I will probably release it. But there you go. It's coming though. It's coming, my friend. Just got through book 3 and on my way to book 4. Okay, go do that. Exactly the reason why I said that. And that's that. And did I get to you? I got to you, and I will back up. If I don't worry, I didn't miss your super chat. If it seems like I blew over it, I didn't miss it. Stephen Henry, thanks you for that $20. And Devon, thank you for that, my friend, as well. What is that? Orange County Sheriff's Department. I don't know what that is. Thank you. Oh, what did you say? Chick talk on Orange County Sheriff Woman's deputy. I will. Yeah, I think somebody sent that to me as well. What did you say? Rollo, how do men hold women accountable when women don't listen to reason? You don't. That's when you get to the point of diminishing returns. That's why I have said over and over, never appeal to reason, particularly with women that what is it? Was it Ryan said? And this is not his quote, but it's like, you can either love women or you can understand women, but you can't do both. Sean Connery way is not an option anymore. Says you. Let me say. All Strike. Nice name. That I'm naming. Is that a band name? Is that your band's name? Because I would be interested to know. When so many say, I want to know if he cheats, is it because they accept the truth or simply justify their own secret revenge of cheating? Are you saying him or her? When somebody say, I want to know if he cheats, I think you'd probably have to clarify terms a little bit there, but I'm just going to go with what I think you mean. And when it comes to cheating, you have to remember that a guy who is a high value guy, a guy who is going to be a statement on a woman's ego, an ego association with that guy, the guy that women go, yeah, I can get that guy. He's the guy that other men want to be and other women want to fuck. I can get that. I'm the guy. I'm the only woman on planet Earth that can tame the beast, right? Remember Beauty and the Beast? That's an archetypal story. I'm the only one that can do that. I have this special magic. Magic. I have this special magic called my feminine intuition or my feminine wiles. And I'm the only one on planet Earth who can tame Tarzan. I'm the only one who can turn the beast into the prince. But that guy, that turning the beast, like that designation, right? That dubious honor of being the woman that can magically do that comes at a price because other women want to fuck that guy and other men want to be that guy. So it comes with a price. He's the kind of guy that other women want to get with. Well, he would never go bang any other girl because I'm the one with the special magic hoo-hoo. Go look it up. That's actually a term. And so that, again, that's sort of an ego association or an ego appeasement, but also it comes with the price that that guy is high value enough that he could cheat. And that goes, there's a quote from my first book. Women don't want a man to cheat, but they love a man who could cheat. They love that guy. They love that dude who's like, my girlfriends all tell me he's really still fuckable. Did you watch Clickbait? Did you watch that movie or that series on Netflix called Clickbait? There was a scene in there when they're at their wedding anniversary. The couple the main couple that's in it. I won't spoil anything for you, but the main couple are at their wedding anniversary, and the gals are all sitting around, like the wife is sitting around. They're all sucking down, I don't know, Chablis, Chardonnay, buttery Chardonnay. It's a good seller, by the way. And so they're sucking down Chardonnay, and like the girls are like looking at the wife and go, wow, your husband, Mark, or whatever his name is, he's really fuckable. That's that third party endorsement, that third party pre-selection. If your girlfriends want to fuck that guy, you're going to get the impression that you're getting third party approval. It's also called passive dread. That guy's probably a high value guy. Oh, well, other women want to bang him. Oh, good. Right. That means that I'm the guy. Or I'm the guy. I'm the girl. I'm the woman that gets to bang the high value guy. So that must mean that I'm at least high value too, or I must be special because the guy that all my girlfriends want to bang was only exclusive with me. We talk about that all the time on Fresh and Fit. Like, should a high value guy be entitled to cheat today? Now, I should probably do a full dedicated show to that at some point, but that is out of our wheelhouse for today. I will show you this video. I will show you this video here in a second. Ostrike live, Madison Square Garden. Speed Freak, thank you for that $50 and nothing else. But you have an interesting motorcycle, my friend, if that's you. MGTOW, in the framework of marriage, it's shown that promiscuous men are also a bad bet for pair bonding then, right? No, they're not. They're not. Because men and women have, well, first of all, men and women have adversarial sex strategies. I know this is going to sound really fucked up because women hate this. This is the crux of the double standard bullshit that women. There's only one double standard on planet Earth. There can't be any more. There's only one double standard, right? If you ask a woman, well, what is the double standard? There's only one definition. There's only one answer. There's actually hundreds of double standards. I've done a full show on like all the many double standards that exist. But if you ask the average woman, what is a double standard? She will say this. Well, men can have lots and lots of sex partners, and they're considered superheroes. And if a woman has lots of sex partners, then she's a slut. Yeah, that's true. You are 100% right, dear. That is exactly the case. Well, that's so unfair. No, it's not. That is a gendered sex difference, and that's part of the machine. That's part of adversarial mating strategies between men and women. Now, the euphemism, of course, is, well, the shitty lock and the master key. Yeah, I know. I got that. Okay. Which I think we kind of need to step away from because we need to be a bit more detailed about this. So when we look at women, when they're having sex, women are primarily focused on quality, not quantity. They're looking for a good time, yes, but they're also looking for two things, right? Alpha fucks, beta bucks. They're looking, and when it comes down to arousal, not attraction, arousal, there's two different things. When you ask a woman, what do you find attractive in a man? She's going to go and give you the laundry list of things that would make for a good long-term partner. And 90% of those things are all about long-term security. He's got to have a job. He's got to be ambitious. He's got to have confidence. He's got to love puppies. He's got to love his mother. He has to want kids. He has to be, has to respect me. All of this laundry list of things, that's attraction. When it comes to arousal, it's like he's got to have a 6-pack abs. He's got to have a V taper. He's got to have a strong jawline. He's got to have a 9-inch cock. He's got to be 6.5 feet tall. He's got to. That's arousal. That's hot guy in the foam cannon party. That's the hot fireman in the fireman calendar. That's arousal. Alpha fucks, arousal. Attraction, beta bucks. Parental investment, protection, and provisioning. Long-term security. And which one does she need the most for the longest time? Long-term security. She still wants alpha fucks for sure. But at some point along the way, she's going to say, you know what? I need security. And that's when sort of priorities shift. Does she still want a hot guy? Yes, she does. But does the priority list change over time as she's less able to get those things? Yes. It's not looks. Yeah, it's looks. You're 100% right, guys. There you go. There's another black pill moment. It's all about looks. Face an LMS. Here's your concession, right? Yeah, it's looks. Yeah, for as far as she can get those looks. Mm-hmm. But there's also long-term security that goes along with that. So it's not just looks, just like it's not just long-term security. Okay, it's a combination of both when it's needed the most, and congruency, of course. But to answer your question, MGTOW, is that men on average do not have the same emotional investment into sex that women do. You want to know why this girl's beating herself up and she's like, oh, I can't believe I did that. I'm self-mutilating. Yeah, the reason why she feels like that was because she has an emotional investment in the guys that she's fucking. It's true. Guys, on the other hand, don't have that. Men, by and large, can separate. You want to know why guys agonize over nofap and agonize over porn? Because they can do this. They can separate their emotional investment in jerking off to porn. They can separate their emotions from the sex act itself. And they have to. It's the most efficient way to achieve the desired result of spreading the seed. It's the most efficient way for guys to hit it and quit it, ejaculate and evacuate. They don't have the same emotional investment in the sex act that women do. That's why it is not a bad bet for men who have high partner counts. As a matter of fact, guys who have higher partner counts, at least now, are at least the perception anyways, is that a guy that has a high partner count is good. The guy who's good in bed had to get good in bed somehow. And that's a quality. That's a qualifier for women. He's got to be a good lover. He's got to work. He's got to give me an orgasm. He's got to be the one who rocks my world. And if he's not, then I'm going to go out and find the guy that can. That is I forget who said this. I just quoted this not too long ago. In fact, I'm going to quote it right now because my good friend Sterling Cooper is the one who said this. Let's see if I can grab it real quick because I just retweeted it not too long ago. Oh, here it is. This is Sterling Cooper. Being good in the bedroom is the most honest signal of pre-selection there is. If you know your way around a woman's body that better than she does, if you know your way around a woman's body better than she does, then she knows you fuck. She knows that you have had other partners. So there's that aspect of it. And then there's also the emotional separation between the act and the actual woman. If you're invested, I'm not saying you shouldn't have sex with someone you're in love with. Please do. But I'm saying that the conditions, the double standard is different. Because why? Men and women are different. Why? Because our mating strategies are different as well. Time to accept those realities, people. It's time to dump the blank slate. It's time to dump this social constructionism shit because it's ruining your fucking lives. It's certainly ruining your sex life. Ladies, imagine never having to go through all this, the third degree that this chick went through. Because you understand. Because you have a realistic understanding of human nature. Oh boy. Okay. Who else? Who wants more of this? Oops. There you are. Well, I got to stop for the 1,000 rupees. I don't even know what that is. How much does that amount to? It's a purple one, so I don't know. Rollo, we all men, women, tradcons agree that the guy in the video should have done better. Of course. Be alpha, etc. But what can we expect from women? What responsibility in marriage can we impose on them? Did you watch me like 5 minutes ago when I said this? Direct communication is not an option. Nope. In fact, explicating things rather than demonstrating things. Remember? That is, I should make that another iron rule. Demonstrate, do not explicate. That comes, by the way, from the 48 Laws of Power. Like anytime you have to explain yourself and you win as a result of explaining yourself, it's a Pyrrhic victory, meaning that it's only as good as the paper that it's written on. It's much better to demonstrate boundaries. It's much better to demonstrate rules. Much better to demonstrate what happens if you do, if then logic, right? If you do this, this is what happens. Instead of going, betch, if you don't shape up, I'm going to go out there and bang some other chicks. That's an ultimatum. And ultimatums are always declarations of powerlessness. Guys hate me when I say this. This is also from the first book, by the way. They are declarations of powerlessness. What that means is I'm so out, and women will do this too. It's not just guys. But what that says is I'm so out of my element and I'm so out of control that if you don't do what I say, do this or else. If you're at that point, what's the point? You should probably have been out. Bitch, if you keep going out and sucking that guy's dick when he walks through the door, I'm out of here. Yeah, it makes you look like an idiot. Now that's just in that case, but there's, people always ask me, Rollo, how do I set boundaries? You allow people, men or women, but in this case, it's always women, to cross those boundaries, and you demonstrate what the repercussions are for crossing those boundaries. You let the child touch the hot stove just long enough so it doesn't hurt itself, but it gives them an incentive. You can talk till you're blue in the face about what you're going to do and what you're going to do and what you're going to do. Until you do it, makes no difference. And it's a declaration of powerlessness. Remember the cardinal rule of relationships. Any person that is in, and doesn't have to be interpersonal. It could be family, business, sexual, whatever. The person in any relationship with the most power is the one who needs the other the least. How do you demonstrate that? I can say, hey, I'm the one I wear the pants in his house, missy. No, you don't, because you demonstrably do not. unless you have that authority, or unless you're the one who's putting your foot down, unless you're one that's making the most money, unless you have some sort of actionable authority, you could, it's just fucking fart in the wind. That's all it is. So ultimatums are declarations of powerlessness. And that's another thing. So communication also, just to reiterate here. Yeah. Direct communication is not an option. And I think that's another thing that people need to unlearn. There's lots of ways to communicate. Remember, it's like the Oprah Dr. Phil, recipe for a good relationship is open communication solves everything. Bullshit. It's what you're communicating, not that you're communicating. These two right here in that video, that guy, they are definitely communicating. Is that a key to a healthy relationship? Okay, honey, tell you what, you stop sucking guys' dicks when they walk in the front door, and then I'll take you back. And then you know what? You do here's my list of my terms of negotiation for your honest, genuine desire. You do those things, and then I'll do these things, and we'll all be good in the hood. Do you think that works? That's open communication. That's appealing to reason. Do you think that would work with this girl? Look, by the way, she looks like a classic Karen. Hoop earrings, duly noted. Just so you guys know. So, yeah, she's ovulating. Maybe she's perimenopausal. She's before menopause. What did you say? Beastly nerd. Rollo, I'm trying to sneak small doses of red pill medicine on the low to my uncle and his son, who are both going through marriage issues. Love the work. Thanks. Good. Thank you. Please do. Let me know how that goes. I'm always curious to see people using this. People keep saying, "Oh, Rollo doesn't give us prescriptions. He doesn't tell us what to do." Good. I hope not. I hope you can. And what I want you to do is show me your work. What did you build? This is not an assignment. This is not a program. Oh, yeah. Not to take anything away from Rich Cooper, because I love him and I love his book, but it's like people say, well, Rich Cooper, it's like the rational male light. Okay, I'm glad you can read that. I'm glad it's accessible for you, because a lot of that stuff, and I wrote the introduction to that book, but I don't give you prescriptions for a reason, because I want you to do the work. The actual Rich Cooper's sign, I want you to do it for yourself. I want you to be your own man. I'm not going to give you 12 rules for life. I'm not going to give you prescriptions. You have your own prescription. Tell you what, you get to be a doctor. You get to write your own prescription. And guess what? You have all these tools and this great stuff to do it. Show me what you did. Rollo, Godfather. I like that term, but I think I want to be called the God Emperor of the Manosphere. Is that over the top? I never know. Rollo, Godfather, nose game, no more comfort dates. Yeah. Comfortable dates. By the way, that's a coffee date. I decide to invite her over for a jog. That'll, by the way, Stefan, that will be in, Stefan, that will be in book 5 too. That's pretty good. You know what? I've got so many of these. I can't, you guys are just going to keep killing me with these. This is from the roommates. Now, having watched that, now I'm going to give you, here's the buildup. Having watched that last video, I want you to watch remember, this is a relationship counselor. This is a woman who makes her living as a relationship expert, a dating expert, a marriage therapist expert. Okay. This is from about a year ago. This was on the Roommates podcast, and fair use. It won't be on that long. And I love the Roommates. Go check them out. I've already done some breakdown videos of Hasif, whatever his name is.
And I think what happens is many times people read these surveys in Cosmo, in different magazines, Women's Health. And the thing is, I'm one of the experts that they call to weigh in on this. So I know what they're saying. People fill out forms, have you done this? Have you done this? Men will talk more about cheating. Women usually keep it to themselves. It's more taboo. But in my private practice and among other therapists, we know that as many women, perhaps more, who knows the exact number of men or women who cheat, but they cheat. It's a human thing. It's a choice people make. Women have more to lose when they choose that. When men choose to cheat, they usually still love their wife very much, 56% of the time. When women cheat, that is not true. They are usually checked out of their marriage. And that's what...
Okay, that's part of what I wanted to dig into here really quickly is when you get to the point where the breakup is happening, usually that breakup, we just talked about this on Rule Zero, by the way, go check it out. It's on Troy Francis's channel. But when it comes to breakups, usually that woman has already checked out of the relationship 6 to 8 months prior. So leaving you at that point, guys, by the way, guys get blindsided. I can't believe this. She decided to pick up and leave. She took all her stuff out and she's gone. Gone. Let's write a song about it, right? Oh, why? She's gone. They don't understand. They don't. Oh, I didn't. I was blindsided. I never saw this coming. I didn't think she had it in her. Well, she did. It would just happen 6-8 months ago. Now, of course, what will happen is guys will go, well, you should have known better. You should have chose a better woman. You chose the wrong girl. But guys get blindsided by this. So at the point that there's a breakup, it's just leaving you is just a formality at that point. So when you get to the point where you're having the talk where the woman says, well, things aren't working out. I'm going to go live with my mom. That decision was made 4 months ago, 5 months ago. The is he the best I can do question was answered 4 or 5 months ago. So the best way you can play that, by the way, is just say, all right, you're out. Bye. Bye, Felicia.
Bye, Felicia.
That's your answer. Because it's if you're at that point, if you're at that stage, leaving you is just a formality. It's not a negotiation. And I want to express this too, because I've said this in 2 of my books. In the first book and the second book, is that when you're at that point of breakup, Iron Rule of Tomasi number 7, of course, is prime in understanding this. But let it go. Next. Because at that point, if the woman's come to you and says, I don't want to be with you anymore, blah, 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 or she's cheated on you, the medium is the message. And if the medium is she sucked the guy's dick when he walked through the door, that's the medium. That's a pretty loud message. Well, I don't know. I think we could patch things up. Now the medium is the message, and that doesn't look like something you could pass up, my friend, or patch up, my friend. But guys will always try to do that, particularly if guys who are necessitous, guys who don't have much options. Well, their first inclination is to negotiate because, as they said, as you were saying before, is that they think that open communication is going to solve everything. And part of that open communication is negotiating desire. That seems deductively reasonable. I am known for that quote above anything else. You cannot negotiate genuine desire. And that's really what you're looking for. Unprompted or unsolicited, organic, hot monkey sex. I claw your clothes off, genuine desire. I want you to break rules to have sex with me. I want you to change your religion. Remember when Fresh was talking to Abba on that show, and Fresh kind of butchered this. Sorry, Fresh, I love you, but it's like I want to own her soul. What he was trying to do is trying to express, and probably inaccurately, and it sounds very bad, when you just take it out of context. But what he's saying is, I want genuine desire. I want a woman who wants me because I'm her best. I answer the hypergamous question. Is he the best I can do? Hell yes. You want the hell yes girl. Hey, you want to go to a date? Hell yes. Hey, you want to I don't know, go pick weeds in the garden? Hell yes. Do you want to go rock climbing? Hell yes. Do you want to, whatever it is, if it's not hell yes, if it's not, I want to have his babies rather than it's time for me to have kids. I want to time for me to get married. I'm not getting any younger. Or is it, I want to marry him? Eva Mendes and Jake Gyllenhaal. Is it Jake Gyllenhaal? Yeah. I didn't want kids until I met him. Now I want his children. That's a pretty good indicator. She breaking rules for you? She fly across the country, crawl under barbed wire. What will she do? What sacrifices will she make in her personal life because she is so into you that seems like that's a better idea than living without you? What will she do? That's what Fresh kind of butchered at that point right there. But the principle applies. You want genuine desire. And it seemed like an alien thought to Abba and Preach because they're so wrapped up in transactional sex versus validational sex, because that's what it's rooted in. If you're negotiating desire, you're negotiating. It's a transaction. I'll do these things and you fuck me. I'll behave differently. I'll do more dishes. I'll do that. I'll pay you $100, and then you're gonna suck my dick when I walk through the front door. Okay, well, your terms are acceptable. That's the difference, and that's why it sounds like for a foreign language to these guys, because they don't have any frame of reference beyond that. It's always been that way for them, for whatever reason. I'm not coming down on them. A lot of guys are like that, particularly the guys who have a lot of money. They just simply don't want us to think about it. And transaction seems like the easiest way to solve the reproductive problem. More money I have, the more I get laid. In some cases, that's true, but it's still a transactional sex. It's transactional sex versus validational sex. Let's keep going.
Makes it so vital to be able to open that discussion to women before they make that choice, because when they make that choice, there's very little chance they will go back. Whereas if men choose to cheat, it's never a wise choice, but usually they can still work on their marriage and make it better and
okay, so what she's explaining
somehow rectify it.
What she's just explained here is the difference between two things: how men view sex and how women view sex. And then what is the difference between jealousy? Why do women get jealous when infidelity occurs, and why do men get jealous? Because men are primarily focused on paternity certainty. Who fucked you? When? Where? When you walk through the door? On this bed? Did he teabag you? That's important. Women don't. Why is that important? Why are you trying to hurt me with all, recalling all of that? Because that's where men's innate proclivity sends them first when there's infidelity. For women, it's, oh, do you love her? Are you guys going to form are you leaving me for her because I've invested all this time and this energy and everything else into you, thinking you were going to be a good bet, and now you're in love with this girl. That's why women fear men who go from zero to hero, and they invested in them when they were zeros. So you get you'll get the women who will do this, like, oh, I found this guy and he's going to med school, or he's studying to get his law degree. And then when that guy hits 35, 36, 37 years old, his prime demographic for his peak sexual market value years, he's made the most of himself. He still looks good. He stayed on top of his shape. He's dominant, socially dominant, personally dominant. Definitely, he's a high value male, and she got him back when nobody would have him. Nobody wanted him. And now he's made partner in the law firm. Now he's a surgeon. He's an oncologist, whatever it is. He's making all kinds of money, and he doesn't want her anymore because she's kind of fattened up and she's not who he wants to be with. And now he's realizing that he has options. It's Tiger Woods realizing he's actually Tiger Woods. So he's going to go bang, prostitutes at the Blue Martini. Ask me how I know. So you've got the guy who's now at the point where he has sexual selectivity, but he's already made his choice of who he's going to be back when he didn't have that selectivity. And women get really upset because what they've done is they've invested their prime sexual market value years and the capital that comes with that in a guy who is now a partner in the law firm, or is now he's a professional athlete, or he's done something with himself and maximized his potential. And she has lost her sexual agency. She has lost that veneer, and all she can rely on is an emotional appeal. She can only rely on, well, don't you love me? What about the kids? What about it's really relational equity, but it's reversed. It's like, I put all this time and this energy into you, and I know I'm a little bit chubby, but I can lose weight, blah, blah, blah. But are you in love with this girl? That girl who's invested in that guy who's now like I said, a lawyer at 36, 37, she would probably is more likely to forgive a fling, or like banging some girl while he's at a convention somewhere. She was probably more willing to forgive that than she is if the guy falls in love with her. That's the worst thing in the world, because it's sunk cost. It's a loss of investment, and that investment was all she ever had. It was her primary agency, still is her primary agency. So that's why when you hear these stories about guys who are like really super high powered dudes, right? High value men. I don't care what career they're in. And suddenly they divorce their wife of 10, 12, 20 years. and they take up with a swimsuit model, or they get with the girl, the hot secretary with blonde hair, big tits, and blue eyes, and it's that typical, typical male. It's a trophy. He dumped me and got the trophy wife, and that's the trophy wife. By the way, that's an apex fallacy, because most guys can't do that, or they don't get to that point where they can do that. Anyways, they don't have the options to even have a trophy wife. But that's where you get that trope. That's where you get that guys, they're just going to find some, hot young girl, and they just want a girl who, they don't care if she's an idiot. They don't care if she's a bimbo and an airhead. They just want big tits and blonde hair and blue eyes and a nice ass, and they want them to ride them to glory. The reason why that's so, when you see revenge fantasies in like female primary movies that center on that, that is really triggering. It's fear of missing out. It's FOMO again, but it's the idea that they've put all this time and energy and effort investing into this one guy, thinking that their lives are going to be one way, and then that guy goes and he takes up with the trophy wife. Again, very rare, top apex fallacy, but women will look at that and they'll go, all men would do that if they had the chance. No, they wouldn't. But that's the difference between jealousy for infidelity between men and women. Men, if you ladies, here, if you're watching, the few ladies who are watching this, because I know what my demographics are, if you are banging another guy, you should. If you're banging a guy who's worth his salt, a guy who is a high value guy, and why would you go up cheat on that guy in the first place? Probably the reason why you're cheating on him is because you think you can get better. And you think you can, it's monkey branching, right? You can abandon this one and go after the next guy. And that's, I'm going to leave morality and ethics and everything out of it. The function of that is to switch up. Women generally don't want to mate down. They only want to mate up. And so when they're getting rid of their blue pill beta guy, it's usually a situation of perception. Because like guys will say this, well, I'm a high value guy, and she left me, and now she's with this drug addicted loser who's beating my kids because of the state and everything else. I'm not saying that those situations don't exist, but somewhere along the line, you didn't pass the hypergamous doubt test. You weren't the best she could do, or she thought she could be better. This girl, the gal in the first video certainly thought that. And to the point where she used her kids as a sort of a shield to cover her tracks. It's not about it's not about the sexual experience. It's about, is this guy, can I take up with this guy? Would he be a better choice in the long term? Again, long-term security needs outweigh a woman's ability to maximize her 18 to 28-year-old her party years to maximize that sexual agency. And again, she's 40 years old. So she's somewhere along the line, the perception of you can do better got into her head, and you better do it now while you're 40 years old, because when you're 50 years old, game over. Most women get to that right around 30, like the epiphany phase, but it can come later, or it can come at the 30s and then again at the 40s. If you read preventive medicine and you look at the timeline, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. Last but not least, when I'm listening to this gal here, you have to remember that she is approaching this from a female specific, female correct way of thinking about relationships and about marriage and about, just committed relationships in this term. But she's correct in the sense that guys cheat for different reasons than women cheat. And she's also correct in I guess, acknowledging, let's just say, the jealousy factor. Why is it that jealousy is different from men or women? Where I would disagree with her is the fact that women have more to lose as a result of mate switching strategy. Prior to the sexual revolution, she'd be correct. I would agree with that. Now, not so much, because we have insurance policies, we have legislation, we have social conventions that, at the very least, buffer the worst effects of that. And if not, women still live under the perception that they'll be okay. Well, that's why you get things like, eat, pray, love. That's how you get grass is, dump your husband and you get this hot guy in Jamaica, that girl in How Stella Got Her Groove Back, right? That kind of divorce porn fantasy is a big deal for women, because at least a perception that there's an insurance policy that prevents, as a safety net, that prevents them from the worst aspects of, the costs that might be associated with that.
That's a really interesting point. So from your personal practice as well as your own research, what are the reasons why you've learned that women cheat? Like, what are some of the reasons behind that?
Well, there's always this thing men will say many times, we know it's not biological. I mean, the reason guys cheat is we're biologically programmed to spread our seed, right? Well, the truth is biologically, both men and women are created to cheat. I mean, it's in our DNA. I mean, not to cheat, but to spread our seeds. We look for that, and that's what people do. But
all right, so she's going to make the fundamental error of choice here. She's attributing choice like, oh, this is what we did. Well, she's half right. All right. There is definitely a biological factor to it. And she's also confusing male sexual strategy with female sexual strategy. Yes, men are the ones who want to spread their seed. I mean, it is the micro version of that is with every ejaculate we have, we can potentially impregnate thousands of women. All right. We have an R-selected mating strategy if left to our own devices, right? If there was no such thing as monogamy, that's why pornography is free and 4K and streaming right now, because it satisfies unlimited access to unlimited sexuality, which is what men's mating strategy would be. No filters added, no, unregulated, unfiltered, unbuffered. That's what most men would do. That's why pornography is a big deal. I've said that a cajillion times on this show and many other shows. So that's number one. This is a person who has a degree that is confusing kind of stuff. All right. So she sounds kind of like she's full of herself, but let's just continue here. The other part of that is she makes the fundamental error that, well, women want to spread their seed too. Well, they can't, because that's a biological impossibility. They only have one cell. They want the best for sure. Alpha seed, beta need. They want the best. Where I will say she's right, but probably doesn't realize that she's right, is that she understands that cuckoldry is also a mating strategy. Rape is also a mating strategy. Forced copulation, let's just call it, is a mating strategy. Them's the rules. It's not social conventions. It's not, teach men not to do this. What I find it fascinating is we can talk about forced copulation, and in the negative, but really the reverse of that, the only parallel to that is women's cuckoldry, and yet we'll normalize that. We'll make men superheroes for being stepfathers as a result of that. So what you're looking at is the dynamic between those two. Men's sexual expression, men's mating strategy is evil, bad, abusive, violent, hurtful, toxic, whatever else. But when we talk about like cuckoldry or women cheating on a guy, having a baby that is not his, but still expecting him to believe that it is his, then, well, think about the sanctity of life. Well, she made some mistakes, but a real man steps up and he takes over the parental investment responsibilities of another man if he really loves her and he's a real man. And that's like social. By the way, you would never hear that in prior generations. You would get the scarlet letter. You want to know why it was shameful for a woman to be unmarried and have a baby out of wedlock prior to like 1964? That's why. And it wasn't just a religious thing. It was a social thing at that time. You brought shame on the family and you had to put the woman away and she had to go have the baby and give it up for adoption, or the baby had to go live with the grandparents because it brought shame on the family. Because there was you can say it's a religious thing or a social thing, but it was a buffer against women's hypergamy. It was a buffer against guys getting cuckolded. We don't have a problem with cuckoldry per se. We have a problem with guys, forcing themselves or freaking out. And I'm not endorsing that. I'm just saying that there should be a parallel. If we really don't like forced copulation, if we really don't like that, if we really want to punish these guys and give them the death penalty, that's pretty serious shit, even just for the suspicion of it. So why would we not apply that? If we're going to be even Steven, it's all egalitarian equalism, why would we not have at least that same attitude towards cuckoldry? We don't, because we live in a gynocentric social order.
But you make a conscious choice when you get married. You make a vow, and that's an honorable thing. And that's where the problem lies. Once you make that vow, it's not that you can't cheat. It's that you choose to stay faithful and committed. And so I look at it as
Actually, for at least 80% of guys, it's that they cannot cheat. That's the reality of it. The reality for women is maybe a little bit, well, let's just say different. But for guys, no. The reality is they can't. They don't have the options. They live in a state of sexual scarcity. If they're if they're the high value guy that women want to optimize all the time, that's why her brain naturally defaults to that. If that's the case for women, yeah, it's a choice and we stick to our vows and everything. And she's really kind of trying to emphasize that choice to men, not so much to women, because she still thinks that men and women are equal. She very much has a blank slate equalist mindset.
Basically, I'm really into helping relationships grow and be healthy. Cheating is one of the choices that really breaks apart a whole family. I work with it a lot.
So what you're saying is that there's a natural tendency with men and women to simply just want to reproduce, like any organism.
Biologically, we're programmed that way.
Yeah.
And men have no more of an excuse than women do.
Okay.
Men do secrete testosterone, which is more aggressive, it's more focused, and men focus more on sex. But women are as in need to have sex and be loved as men are. So
This is nonsense. Men and women are not equal, especially when it comes to libido. There is so much research that anyone who has even a fraction of the information about the differences between like libido and men and women would call bullshit on this the moment it came out of her mouth. It astonishes me that this person is helping couples, right? That's that same old trope. And by the way, I don't want to just blame women, because I've heard this from PUAs. I've heard this from guys who are game aficionados. Women want sex just as much as men do. Bullshit. It is a biological impossibility. Men have anywhere between, a healthy adult male has anywhere between like 12 and 17 times the same serum testosterone that women do. And in fact, here's the other, even if that weren't the case, because people have said, well, it's not just about testosterone, which is what she just said. But even if it wasn't just about testosterone, women's sexuality is cyclical. It is based on her ovulatory cycle. She is more into sex prior to ovulating, which is called the proliferative phase of the menstrual cycle. Okay. Look up ovulatory shift. I don't care what your background is. Go look that up. Look up what an ovulatory shift is. Okay. Women get hot and horny for guys. And if there's any time that a woman is going to have an extramarital affair, it's usually in the proliferative phase of her menstrual cycle. That's when she puts on the red dress. That's when the hoop earrings go on. That's when the likelihood of her cheating in an unsatisfying relationship. Remember, it's also, if she's in a satisfying relationship, that's usually when daddy's going to get some poontang, right? That's usually when she wants to rock and roll and tequila makes her clothes fall off. So again, it's not one way or the other. It's like, oh, well, she's going to go on an ovulatory shift and she's going to cheat on me. No, if you're her best option, she's probably going to want to have monkey sex with you at that point. But the fact remains is that women's sexuality is cyclical. They do the selecting. If that were the case, you would see male strip clubs everywhere. You would see women being run up the flagpole for sexual indiscretions in politics, in religion, in work, in the workplace, in celebrity life, whatever. You would see why is it that men are the ones who get the most shame for dalliances? Because and why do we now never hear of women's dalliances or women like cheating on guys in Hollywood or in mainstream society? Primarily because the incidence is much lower. That's why. Because women's sexuality is not the same as men's. This is blank slate equalism 101 right here. No. And the data proves this over and over and over again. So let the trope die. Men and women are not equal when it comes to sexuality. Men want to have sex more than women do. Until there's a brothel of men that services only women, until there's a dating site that pairs up fat guys with in shape, healthy, hot women who have a lot of money, you're out of your element, dear. And you're perpetuating lies and perpetuating 20th century social conventions. Women are not as sexual as men. They are more sexual than we give them credit for. They're more sexual than like most guys really realize, particularly beta male guys, because we want to see her as sort of this good girl kind of thing. They're far more sexual than we understand. But are they as sexual? They're just as sexual as men. No, they aren't. It is a biological, physiological impossibility.
All of the things we hear contrary to that are myths.
Yeah. And I once heard somebody said, I believe it was Charlemagne the God, he made a point and he said men cheat for ego and women cheat for emo, in regards to like men are usually cheating because there's some type of insecurity that he's dealing with, that he wants to prove himself and, validate himself using women. And then
that is chick think right there. I already brought this up like 2 episodes ago. And here it is, black and white. Oh, men do it because they need catharsis and they want an ego boost and they want validation and blah, blah, blah. How about this? They just want to fuck. How about this? They go, hey, you know what? There's this married chick. She's got the hoop earrings on. I don't care if she's married. I'm going to bang her. I walk through the door and she sucks my dick. Is that an ego boost? Well, when you're part of the 80% of guys who are living in a sexual deficit, who live in sexual scarcity, how do you compete with guys who are in the 20% who are getting laid and you're not? Well, you make their actions and their success, their sexual successes and the sexual rewards that they're being given to by women, you invalidate those. You disqualify those. How do I do that? Well, we say, well, that's meaningless sex. That's ego appeasement. You're doing that just for validation. You're doing that because you want to puff up your chest and be a masculine macho man. Macho man. Right? That's you. Yeah, you're ridiculous because you're having sex that doesn't mean anything and doesn't go anywhere. And you only have sex because you want a notch count to build to build yourself up, to be more impressive to guys with your body count. You're in the triple digits. Ha! I'm in the quadruple digits. Bullshit. That is, first of all, it's chick speak. It's also how beta males psychologically anyways, or sociologically try to change, again, reframe the sexual marketplace so that guys who are actually successful, the guys who are more successful than them, they invalidate that somehow. How about this, dude? I don't know this guy's name. He's one of the roommates, guys. It's not Hasif. It's somebody. Well, maybe it is. How about this? Guys just want to fuck. How about this? The reason why porn is free and streaming and 4K and easy access and guys get addicted to it and snowfap and sperm retention and all this other stuff. Why is that a thing? Because guys just want to get off. That's why. It's not ego. It's not validation. It's just like, damn, that's a hot piece of ass and I want to tap that. It's not like, if I could just tap that, I'd feel better about myself. The guys don't, that's not a mental process for men, particularly when it comes to sexuality. You're all worked up from from winning winning in some way, like a sporting contest, or you just got a promotion or something like that. And women are rewarding you with attention and everything. It's not about ego. It's about, I want to hit that. I want a sexual experience. Pornography. I want that. I want to have that kind of sex. I want to be the guy that gets my dick sucked when I walk through the door. It's not about ego. For women, definitely it's about emotion, but it's also about the investment. Why is it about emotion for women? Because first of all, they lead with emotion, but by him saying, oh, it's men who are just, they want their egos appeased. That's a female way of thinking about it. That's a female way of thinking. That what that's doing is it's putting the definition of what my sexual expression, like as a guy, what my sexual expression or my sexual purpose or whatever, my impetus, it's defined in female terms. And here's a guy who is doing exactly that. He's policing men's thoughts. Well, guys just do this because they want arm candy. They want a trophy wife. They want a guy. They want their peers to think better of them because they nailed more chicks. No, that's not what it's about. It's not about ego appeasement. At least not initially anyways. It shouldn't be, but primarily it's about guys who just simply want to get off. It is biological.
And women usually, if they're not feeling emotional support from their partner, they go ahead and they go lead to infidelity. Have you seen that as well in your practice?
I've seen that.
Do you think that the guy, and just real briefly here, do you think that the guy who got cheated on in a previous video was not emotionally supportive of this girl? Do you think that that was the issue in the infidelity that went on right there? I don't. I don't at all. In fact, I would say there's probably too much emotional support. One of the reasons why women leave you, the reason why there is a infidelity in the first place is usually because a woman's not getting something that she wants to get or something she wants to experience. She didn't get the alpha fucks when she was in her 20s. She consolidated. She's checked out of the club earlier than anybody else. She got with a guy who was a good bet, safe, boring, definitely invested, but perfect is boring. He wasn't exciting. It's not about looking for, at least in this situation, it's not about looking for more emotional support. It's about she wanted to fuck this guy.
But I've seen other things too. For example, men, when they're stressed out, unless they're really stressed, one way men relieve themselves when they're stressed is they have sex. Mm-hmm. When women are stressed, our sex shuts off. Women need to be relaxed and feel like they can escape. So if they have a partner, think about it, and they're
wrong. Sex is not like good sex, right? Validational sex. Sex that is rooted in genuine desire does not come from comfort or rapport or familiarity. It comes from urgency. It comes from, is this guy really the best I can do? It comes from, I really want to tear this guy's clothes off. Don't believe me? Look how many women who could care less about any DC comic book decided that they wanted to go see Aquaman when Jason Momoa was in it. Look at the popularity of something like 50 Shades of Grey. Look at the popularity of these shows like, Sex Life, by the way, which is a damning indictment of the first video here. Cheat on your husband, you'll have a great time, right? Eat, Pray, Love. Why is that popular? What is it? 365 DNI? Is that what it was? Why is Twilight popular? Because they want to be comfortable? Because, well, you know what? I need to just, sit on the couch with a big giant cup of coffee and mix some vanilla pumpkin spice creamer in it and set a fire and wrap a nice little comfy blanket around me and have stuffed animals around me. And that will really put me in the mood. You see these chicks at the clubs? That's not the mood. That's not what putting them in the mood. It's not comfort. Comfort, familiarity, rapport is anti-seductive. It's not about being comfortable. I want a guy who's comfortable with me. You want a stuffed animal. You want to know why women cheat? It's because they are comfortable. They don't have that sense of danger. They don't have that sense of this could end. Why is it that like men and couples have better sex in makeup sex when there's almost a breakup, or they break up for a while and they get back together and they tear? Why is it that more like unexpected pregnancies happen as a result of makeup sex, as opposed to date night where we're going to throw rose petals on the bed and it's Valentine's Day. And the pastor at the church said that we're going to go to the steakhouse and then I'm going to come back here and have champagne and chocolate dipped strawberries. And then she'll be in the mood. That's not the hot monkey sex she had when she was 20, when she was motivated to have sex with you at 26, 27, 28 years old. When it was urgent, it was hot, sweaty. It was, if you're doing it right, it's hot, sweaty, and uncomfortable, urgent, anxiety. That's what produces sexual desire in women, not comfort, not rapport. In fact, familiarity of all of those things is what kills it the most. Because when a woman says, when you go from being boyfriend to being husband to being daddy, now you're in the family. I'm going to quote Dr. Warren Farrell here. It's like there's paraphrase him anyways. There's a concept that says that like once a guy, one of the reasons why women sort of turn off the sex spigot after marriage is that the guy becomes part of the family, becomes daddy, becomes father, becomes husband. And that familiarity is like naturally we don't have sex with somebody who's in our family. It's the incest revulsion response. And so you become more and more, and guys just, they make more and more concessions. They give up, they get more and more comfortable. They think that comfort is actually what's going to make her hot and bothered. And it's not. It's, it's passive dread. It's competition anxiety. It is, remember that scene that I just said in Clickbait where it's her girlfriend's going, damn, your husband's really fuckable. That will definitely trigger it. That competition anxiety, that pre-selection, that third party endorsement. Yeah. You're still the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. That'll trigger it. That'll definitely trigger it. But what won't trigger it is if you're just warming up on the couch and you turn into a stuffed animal. Because what happens when that stuffed animal gets a hard on, you're like, oh, teddy bear's got a hard on. Ah. That's the response. I thought you were cuddly. I thought you liked me. That's why nice guys, by the way, get a raw. I feel bad for like honestly good, nice guys. Because no one believes you, even if you're genuine, even if you're like really, authentically a nice guy. Hey, I just want to do nice things for people. I'm generous. I'm, agreeable. Blah 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 blah. Women think that's an act. That's all you're doing is putting on an act so you can get into their pants. Again, the stuffed animal with the hard-on analogy. You said you were nice. You're just doing this because now you think I owe you sex. How dare you be a stuffed animal that I thought I could. You're my emotional tam. I could just hug you and love on you, and now you want to have sex. That's that. And now imagine you're connected by marriage to that.
With their kids all day, or they're working, they're the only one responsible. They come home and he's like, he had a bad week or he's tired. He's like, come here. I want to have, he starts treating her all.
Okay, that's just chore play nonsense right there. And if you don't know what chore play is, by the way, it's another trope that simply won't die. I've been covering chore play. I've done full videos on it, but I've been covering the lie, the bullshit social convention of chore play since 2008. That was the first time I ever encountered it. I wrote about it on So Suave. I brought it over onto my blog later on. And chore play is basically the idea is that, what is it? Women make passes at guys who wash glasses or some stupid rhyme like that. And the idea, of course, was, well, if you do more housework around the place, then the woman will want to have sex with you because you're taking the load of those domestic chores off of her shoulders. And therefore, she'll have more time to go put on lingerie and wait for you in the bedroom. Not it. Definitely not it. Chore play is familiarity. And again, what's funny to me is like chore play gets like countered later on. Like it seems like every 4 years we do the cycle repeats. So 2008, chore play is great, man. Guys, you need to change the diapers more, and you need to go and do the laundry, and you need to wash the dishes, and you need to mop the floors, and she'll really want you. You'll still see today. There are I guarantee you can find a TikTok video right now of a guy who's like, here's foreplay with my wife, right? Ooh. And what he does is he's washing dishes, and then he's like doing laundry, and then he's ironing shirts, and he's doing this, right? That's foreplay. Like, yeah, right. That's chore play is what that is. And guys still think that's some valid way to get her in the mood, which is funny because the same women who will say, well, you're never owed sex are the same women who will say, yeah, dude, dishes, and I'll be into it. Is that not an obligation for sex? Is that not promoting the idea that if you do these things, that it will result in you getting sex? Because guys are deductive problem solvers, ladies. Oh, shit. Well, what do I need to do to get sex from women? Let's see. Dishes. Why didn't I think of that? Goes and does the dishes are just like, mother, the Virgin Mary can eat off of those dishes. They're so clean. how come she doesn't want to get it? Where's the pussy? People like that video, by the way. Why isn't she in her lingerie? Why aren't the kids with their sister? I did the dishes. It's an obligation. And even if it's not an obligation, the perception is that it's an obligation because guys are deductive problem solvers. I'm not getting enough sex. What can I do? Well, let's go to the marriage counselor. Okay. Come on, honey. We're going to go to the marriage counselor. We're going to negotiate terms for your genuine desire. Well, okay. Mr. Smith, what are you doing around the house? Well, nothing. Well, what do you want him to do? Change the diapers. Okay. So you'll change the diapers. Yes. Okay, good. All right. So what do I get in exchange for changing the diapers? Do I get a Hummer? Do I get a good boy? Now we can put gold stars on all these chores that you should be doing. I've seen these, by the way. Gold stars for doing these chores and doing these things. And you get a 6-pack of beer if you pick up the dog poop. And if you do these things, if you do the dishes for a week, then you get a Hummer on a Friday night. There's no greater negotiation of genuine desire than marriage counseling, because it seems like the most deductive way we're all going to have open communication, and this is how we're going to make it work. What did you say? Liotas. Okay, we're getting down towards the wire here. I'm going to read these out of a 16-year long-term relationship, 2 kids. Does that mean there could have been double digits? During the whole thing, she was always pushing me to work less, hired people to fill my absence, lost money. Now she does not love me anymore. Why women self-sabotage? Because you are suffering, my friend, from what I call the classic Clark Kent Superman, the Ballad of Clark Kent and Superman. And gosh, I almost want to read this to you. Let me do this. I don't think I've read this ever on this show. Let me see. Clark Kent. C-L-A-R-K. I have an essay, and it's called, there it is. It's called The Ballad of Clark Kent. It's very short. That's why I'm going to read it to you, because otherwise I wouldn't even bother. So here's the ballad. I present to you the ballad of Clark Kent, and this is how it goes. Okay. When Lois Lane met Superman, he was fighting crime, could bend steel in his bare hands, stop locomotives, leap over tall buildings in a single bound. Shit. Superman could fly. Then one day he met Lois and swept her off her feet, rocked her world in the sack, and fell in love with her because that's what supermen do. After a year of this whirlwind, Lois starts to feel her relationship with Superman was lacking something. Why does he have to always be out there fighting crime, huh? Why does he always have to prove he's so macho? Does it threaten his ego? He really needs to get in touch with his feminine side. What about my needs? And why can't he just grow up and get a real job? I'm not getting any younger, you know. He's got some responsibilities to live up to. When am I going to see a ring? So eventually, this wears down on Superman, and he submits to Lois's request or demands. After all, he should really grow up anyways, right? It's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. So Superman changes his name to Clark Kent. Superman was so male self-aggrandizing anyways. And he lands a job as a reporter at a great metropolitan newspaper. Clark begins wearing glasses, even though he can see x-rays and shoot lasers out of his eyes. He wears them because Lois says it makes him look distinguished, intellectual, and she likes them. Time goes on, and Lois and Clark Lois and Clark marry. 5 years into the marriage, Lois gets bored. Same old, same old. Clark is so mundane and unassuming. She longs for the days when he would fly and do that funny steel bending trick he used to do when they were dating. He hasn't done any of that for so long, not because he can't, but because he's afraid she'll get upset with him and not put out that evening if he gets cocky with her. In fact, she's not putting out even half as much as she used to in these days. Clark just doesn't arouse her as much as he once did, and she just can't seem to put her finger on the reason for it. Then one night, Lois ran into a wealthy fellow by the name of Bruce Wayne. At a charity mixer, Bruce was dark, mysterious, and in shape. He couldn't fly, but he made up for that in so many other ways. He fought crime. He wore a mask and spoke in short, purposeful sentences, never mincing words. He didn't wear glasses. That was so retro. And he came and went at the time of his pleasing, not hers. He sent tingles down Lois's spine and other places she hadn't felt tingles in a while when he began to see her and date her. The weeks went by until after a 60-hour work week at the Daily Planet. Swanky apartments don't rent cheap, you know. Clark made his way home on the subway, since flying had been out of the question for a while now, and picked up a dozen roses to surprise Lois, though he tended to put he thought she tended to put out more when he showed his feminine side. So when he got back to the apartment. Now, however, it was poor Clark who got the surprise upon discovering Bruce Wayne bending Lois over the kitchen table when he opened the door. Bruce promptly toweled off his junk while Clark, slack-jawed with horror, watched speechless. How could you? After all we've meant to each other. Clark began to cry as Bruce excused himself from the now estranged couple. Clark was used to crying a lot now because it showed his sensitivity. What could you have possibly seen in that guy? Clark shrieked like a schoolgirl. Well, I couldn't help myself, Lois said indifferently. Batman is a superhero. And that's the Ballad of Clark Kent, which is actually kind of pertinent to today's topic. See, what happens for a lot of times is guys will say, well, I lost the frame, Rollo. How do I get the frame back? Or we used to have such hot sex when we were single. Or I was so much more alpha, whether they were or they weren't. The impression is that they were. And what happens is that over time, the guy that she fell in love with, the guy who caused, like I was saying before, the guy who caused sexual anxiety, urgency, the guy that she wanted to bang, that guy turns into what he thinks she expects of him. You need to do the dishes. You need to be more feminine. You need to express yourself. You need to cry. It's okay for guys to cry. You know, how emotionally invested do you think the guy who got cheated on in that video was with that chick, thinking that that's the rules? That's the rules that we're going to play by. But those rules don't exist. And that, again, the Ballad of Clark Kent. I hate to use allegory and metaphor on any internet media because people always take it stupidly literally. But what that means is this, is that you are Superman in the beginning and you gradually turn into Clark Kent until another superhero comes along. You're never going to watch Invincible the same way. You're never going to watch Justice League after that story in the same way. But you know, that's the perfect is boring. That's the analogy for perfect is boring. You can be Superman and women will still say, is he the best I can do? Because you turn yourself, she doesn't turn, well, maybe she does, it inspires it, but you turn yourself, you gaslight yourself into Clark Kent. You need to understand, I'm going to give you some actionable advice at the end of here, which is you need to remember women's nature and men's nature. And when you hear bullshit like that, the counselor here at the end here on the roommates, when you hear bullshit like that, you need to be your red pill lens needs to be finely attuned to read that and understand that that's bullshit when it's presented to you. So there you go. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. I haven't done story time in quite some time. All right. Gosh, we got so many to cover. I'm going to go back here real quick. Sorry, I'm going to do a lightning round, guys. Hopefully Zod was right. Zod was right. Kneel before Rollo. God Emperor of the Manosphere. Let's see if it can make that stick. Cabral Juan. When it comes to the question, is he the best can do? Do women care more about the answer to the alpha fuck side of hypergamy or the beta bucks side of hypergamy, or both? It depends on where that woman is. The best way to assess that, by the way, is to look at this. Hold on. I even have it still here. This is the timeline that I presented in preventive medicine. And you look at from 15 all the way up to 50. You could probably go past 50 now, but you can look at how are women prioritizing alpha fucks versus beta bucks? When a woman gets to the epiphany phase, I'm not saying that they don't want an alpha guy to rock their world. They still do. In fact, probably more now because the perception is that women have longer to, like, their sexual market value is evergreen. It's not, but generally speaking, women will change their priorities. It's not that the priorities fall off the list. They just get reorganized. They get reprioritized in the list. So right around the time that a woman, it begins to acknowledge the wall, and the wall starts here, not here. When a woman realizes that her 33-year-old self cannot possibly compete with her 23-year-old self in the same sexual marketplace that she's enjoyed for 10 years, once she realizes that, that's when priorities shift. So that's when women might say, you know what? He doesn't have to be as good looking as long as he's got good prospects. He's got to be somebody who is a high value guy, and I'm going to prioritize beta bucks just maybe slightly higher than alpha fucks, or aspects of that. Because remember, when we're talking about priorities, remember arousal versus attraction. So the attraction priority list is one thing. The arousal priority list is another thing. And generally, that's the arousal side. The alpha fuck side tends to be more strict. It tends to be a little bit more stringent as far as like what the prerequisites are. But the fact remains is like, well, you know, I want a guy who's hot and good looking, and he has to be good looking. Okay, from the time she's 18 till she's 28, that's probably going to be at the top of the list for that. It's not that it falls off the list. It might get bumped to number 2 when she says, okay, I'm not getting any younger and I need to have babies and my biological clock is ticking at 31 years old. Things might change a little bit. Not that she was, you know, there's still an attraction floor. Don't get me wrong. But the priorities of what is most important in a guy are going to shift. So that it's really kind of like, what's that woman's circumstance and what's her situation? Torsia, if you're still with us, what is most important to you? Looks or the bag? I think it's whenever Fresh asks these girls on the show, like, what do you look for in a guy? Looks, money, or status, right? Well, it's kind of, if you've ever seen the show, you know that question is coming first. Secondly, it's what else are they going to say? When you say, it's like saying, what are you attracted to in a guy? Attracted? Oh, guy who has a lot of money and has a lot of prospects, who's going to be a good long-term security. It's like, duh. It's like, that's a no-brainer. Of course it is. Now ask that girl, what do you find arousing in a guy? Oh man, we can have a whole different conversation about that. Cabral, I hope I did your name justice. I will roll my R's. It seemed like a Spanish name. I'm probably wrong. I probably am horrible. The Ned Fund, by the way, I was going to say is Sterling and Justin and Tom, my good friends, were in Lake Tahoe with me this last week, and Ned took a liking to Sterling. Don't worry, he's not getting in the industry. He doesn't have any balls, literally. They cut them off. They take them off the dog, which I think is a tragedy. Of all my dogs, I think Ned is the one that should be bred. I think so. Actually, Bambi has already had a litter of 6 pups before I got her. Thank you, Pee-Pee. Pee-Pee. You just wanted to hear me say Pee-Pee, didn't you? For $100. Thank you. Salute. Thank you. What, in Britain? Is that what that is? A British flag? Yeah. Let me see. I'm going to back up here and go back up the ones I missed here in just a second. I got to Cabral. Thank you for the Ned Fund. I will put that towards dog treats just for you. Dexter Barnes said, I was nice guy and college became much more dark triad. The same broads who curved me said I changed. Good. That's a good sign, by the way. And became enraged when I moved on. Why do they care if they don't like me anyways? They became enraged because you became unpredictable. And if, as you say, you became sort of more, let's just say, self-important, because dark triad gets like really a bad rap in Evo Psych and everywhere else. Because if I'm a little hesitant to refer to dark triad traits as at least in the definition that they are usually given according to like the APA and everything else. Remember, the APA is still like classifying traditional masculinity as like a personality disorder. So you'll have to excuse me, my incredulity when you start saying my dark triad this, dark triad that. Okay. To me, those dark triad traits are there for a reason. They're selected for a reason, and they're probably a feature and not a bug. And as long as we keep talking about them and referring to them as if they are bugs, we're never going to understand why it is that they're useful and why we can cast them in better lights than they actually are. It's like the 48 laws of power. Oh, they're all evil. They're all tired. You should never learn this stuff. No, you should. And you should be able to apply it the way their tools, just like the rational male, just like my work. It's not I am Prometheus. I give you fire. And what you do with that fire or the red pill fire is up to you, man. Burn your house down or cook your food. Keep you and your woman warm with the red pill fire, or you can burn yourself. You can set yourself. You can self-immolate with it. Boy, that's an apt metaphor. I'm going all metaphors today. All metaphors. So it kind of depends on what you think is dark triad, because really, if you've changed your personality in some way, and I mentioned this in the previous episode, if you change your personality in some way, it's good news. If people are noticing that, good. You don't want to be predictable, man. That's what the reason why people get pissed off at you, because you change, or you're trying to be somebody you're not, like crabs pulling you back down in the barrel. Did you like that episode? Anybody watch the clips? Anybody watch my clips channel? Man, that was a great thumbnail, by the way, using the crabs in the barrel thumbnail. That was awesome. So, but seriously, it's because people, not just men and women, they want you to be predictable. They want your personality to be predictable because that's how they control you. I know what he's going to do. He's acting out of, this is not you. He's acting out of his personality. Michael Metroke, likes are free. Yes, they are. Timius Maximus, thank you for that 10 Australian dollars. Let's see. Z22, I think you forgot my question about if it is possible for a wife to cheat on an actual alpha husband, and if you can elaborate on that. Okay. No, I didn't forget. I would have got to it actually, but Sam actually bookmarked it for me. So, but let's get to your question right now. So, if you're genuinely an alpha, okay, well, God, I hate to even say that I hate to hear these words even come out of my mouth right now, but when we're talking about high value men and we're talking about alpha, I kind of use those interchangeably because people don't want to use the term alpha anymore for whatever reason. Oh, there's no such thing as an alpha male, but there are alpha females, right? So if you're a high value guy and it's impossible for her to ever cheat on you. No. I mean, again, it's circumstantial. Can you be the guy? Again, it's contextual and it's circumstantial. And guys are going to say, oh, he's just evading the question. No, well, if you're alpha enough, if you're high value enough and you maintain that, you develop that, you stay on top of that. My question is this: why wouldn't you cheat as a guy? Can you keep her loyal? I will tell you this. People ask me this all the time. I'll say it one more time. When people say, Rollo, how did you vet Mrs. Tomassi at 25 years ago? How did you vet for her? Because you have thank you, Aaron, for the wonderful compliment. But I'm probably one of the 2% of guys who, uses a red pill, maintains my marriage as I've attributed the success of my marriage to being red pill aware. I think that's definitely a necessity. And I'm glad, people like what I've got. I don't use that as an example because I don't want to use it as proof of concept, because again, it's like, past successes are no indication of future returns. So, but people ask me, oh, how did you vet Mrs. Tomassi? And I think the truth of it is I didn't really vet her back then. I vetted myself. Is this a person you say, oh, you're really full of yourself and arrogant. No, my mental point of origin was me very much back then, because I realized that once I started caring about myself first and making me my mental point of origin, I didn't call it that back then, but when I made myself my own first priority, I suddenly found out women really wanted to fuck me, and so, having access to sexual access to women at that time, I kind of had to ask myself, is this somebody that I can be loyal to? Because I have cheated on women too, right? I've been cheated on, and I have been the cheater. I know me. I've seen me do it. So that was my first thought was, can I be loyal to her? And the answer was yes, because she was very, the hottest girl I was with at that time. She was fun in bed. She was fun out of bed. She was a breath of golden fresh air after my BPD girlfriend. And, you know, she wanted me to be the alpha. She wanted me to step into the dominant role. She wanted me to be conventionally masculine. And I had to sort of, it was weird for me to be in the driver's seat at that time. And I had to sort of understand what the dynamics of our relationship was going to be. And oddly enough, I was dating like an adult finally, instead of like a serial monogamist, right? Instead of like a high school kid. And that's how it worked out. She asked me to be exclusive. I didn't ask her. What did you say? Hello, Rollo. Can I get a shout out to my Uncle Lee? Uncle Lee, I will even give you a Cheetos.
Where are the Cheetos?
There you go. Shout out to your Uncle Lee. Much respect for your work. There you go, Uncle Lee. Okay. I got to you, got to Cyborg. There's your DC superhero again. Okay, Dexter, I got to you. I was a nice guy. Got to you. Timaeus, I got to you. And then so Z22. So hopefully that answers your question at least somewhat. Is it impossible for no? And remember, possibility versus probability. Well, yeah, be the guy. Maintain for as long as you possibly can being the guy that other men want to be and other women want to bang. One of the reasons why I think a lot of guys get cheated on, or women like get dissatisfied, or they start up with like withholding sex as kind of like a tactic, is, well, first of all, they lose respect for their man, but primarily it's because men who are married don't have the occasion for generating social proof, or certainly don't have the occasion for generating pre-selection, unless her girlfriends say, oh, he's really fuckable, right? That's very few and far between. You want to know why I tell guys to lean into the girl, or the hot waitress flirting with you? It's because that's third party pre-selection right there. And you go, if you use a muse mastery, and there's ways to sort of, instead of going, oh, don't worry, girl, I would never cheat on you, blah, blah, instead of like trying to diffuse that, lean into it. Yeah, women find me hot. Sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. It's not like I want to fuck that girl, but like, what can I do? This is just me. It's like Han Solo. I know. I love you. I know. Like when you can get into that, when you can get into that mindset, it's great. Harambe Quentin, how to communicate. As you said, we have to allow people to cross a boundary to demonstrate the result of doing so. So where can I learn more about this? In my upcoming 5th book called The Player's Handbook. Thank you very much for suggesting that title. Where can you learn about that? Well, you can learn about that either here on this show. Would you like me to do a show about that? I would be happy to do even a short show about that if you'd like. But it goes back to demonstrating boundaries. Actually, honestly, here's the first suggestion. Odd as this is going to sound, I have a post on an essay. There's an essay for that on therationalmale.com, therationalmale.com, my blog, the one that's always linked in the description here. Go there and search for an essay called Mutiny. It's where I was sort of, there's also one called Boundaries too. There's this one called Mutiny and there's one called Boundaries. Look up those 2 essays. That's where I talk about exactly what I was just saying about like demonstrating boundaries and demonstrating, what is acceptable for you and what's not. And I think too many guys think, oh, I'm the captain and she's the first mate. So I have to listen to her, what she has to say, and then I'll drive the boat. That's just you pandering. She's the one that actually controls the relationship. And she does. You're just gaslighting yourself into thinking you're the captain and she's the first mate. And I'll tell you why, because as soon as the ship goes down, guess who goes down with the ship and guess who gets off of the ship? The captain goes down with the ship and she jumps off. And so there ain't no captain, no first mate shit like that. There's only a captain. Because you're bearing the cost of the captaincy of that ship. And then in Boundaries, I said the exact same thing, which is, you need to demonstrate, do not explicate. See, first of all, it's the only way that anyone will take you, like you don't even have to deal with women. It's the only way that people will take you seriously. If there isn't any repercussions and it isn't immediate, then you will learn more from that immediate repercussion than you will from like talking about it or giving ultimatums. Devon Keltz, Rollo is continuously stoking competition anxiety, essential for LTRs and loyalty. It seems that women lock down men and strive for stability, but don't ultimately desire this. It seems paradoxical. Of course it does. That's the Clark Kent Superman paradox, really the Ballad of Clark Kent. I want the guy who's the nice beta bucks guy he's the mild-mannered reporter for the Daily for the Metropolis, right? I want that guy, dependable, loyal, loving, kind, wears glasses, looks unassuming. That's when you think about like the difference between Superman, like just as a character, Superman and Clark Kent. That's beta male and alpha male. I've gone over the differences in different alpha male types, but that's really what that is. Well, he pretends to be a beta male, but he's really Superman. That's what it comes down to. And yeah, it is a paradox. It's trying to be the best of both. It's kind of trying to be the good guy. And that's what Superman is, right? Philip with her, for the Red Pill R&D team. Yeah, thank you very much. This is your research and development class. Please be here every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Awestrike, I talk to you. And he gave me this one again. If his infidelity hurts her ego, won't that justify her own infidelity? Openly as a form of punishment and revenge, and 2, secretly to preserve the relationship while satisfying her own hedonism and monkey branching. Okay. I'm not sure where you're going with that. If his infidelity hurt her ego, won't that just justify her own infidelity? I think it's, remember, again, you have to understand why it is that men and women cheat. Men cheat because they want sexual access. They want to be the guy that gets their dick sucked as soon as they walk through the door. I'm not going to let that one go this whole show. They want that access. They want that sexual. It's not about ego. It's not about validation or appeasement or any of that other bullshit. It's about experience. It's like your bucket list. How many, why do we even have a notch count? Why would that even be a thing? Oh, what's your notch count? I'm open with my notch count, 41, 42, something like that. I'm open with that, which I think is pretty low compared to all these great PUA guys or these, drunken fools in Denny's with 1,300, 1,400, talking about their notch count. But I'm an asshole for saying that I had 40, right? Oh, okay. Well, maybe it's under. Maybe you're better than me, man. Maybe your dick's longer than mine. I don't know. Still think I did pretty well for my generation. For me, I enjoyed it. And you know what? I have never had meaningless sex. I meant to fuck every girl I ever fucked. It's not about cosmic significance. It's about experience, about sexual experience. How many times have you gone skydiving? How many times are you going to go wakeboarding? How many times are you going to go snowmobiling, right? Well, I've done it once. I don't think I would need to do it again. What? No, it's that experience. And it's that why is it that guys are addicted to porn? Because they want at least the virtual experience, if nothing else. Hey, Rollo, I hate to be the guy, but when's your next book coming out? Jesus Christ, dude, I've answered that 4 times in this show already. But for $10, I'll tell you again, it's coming out either at the end of this month or probably the beginning of November. I'm holding back on it intentionally because I don't want to shit all over the Audible version of book 4 right now. So, and yes, it'll be available on Audible. I will probably have Trey do the reading, but I'm not sure. I'm still debating. I might it's kind of like a more of a PUA book. So I don't know if it's like as epic as my other ones. It's meant to be like down and dirty and practical stuff. So, and yes, I swear quite a bit in it. I didn't, you know what? There's one swearing word in book 4. See if you can find which one it is. You get a no prize if you can find out the one swearing word in book 4. I intentionally kept it as clean as I possibly could. Let's see. God damn it, you guys. we're 3 hours and 18 minutes into the show. I'm trying to get through these because I want to be cool with everybody. I on one hand will read all of the super chats regardless of price because I only do this once a week. Harambe Quentin, thank you. Rollo, eye-opening content every day. Your books, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thank you for the props, my friend. I love you too. Go forth and multiply. Let's see. I got to Ostrach live at the Palladium. Luitus, I got to you. Out of the 16. Okay. Stefan, I got to you. Beastly Nerd, I got to you. Alec, I got to you. Devinda, thank you for that New Zealand $5. Man, I almost feel bad taking it from you in New Zealand. MGTOW, got to you. All Strike, got to your. Did I get to yours? When men say I wouldn't want to. Okay, yeah, I got to that one. One Man's Chorus, I got to multiple ones of yours. Thank you for all of those today. How do you hold women accountable when they won't? That was a good one, by the way. How do you hold women accountable when they won't listen to reason? You don't. You move on. You deal with them as, Rollo, how do I trust women? You don't. You trust them to be women. How do I trust women? You understand the game. You become red pill aware. You love them for what they are. Oh, the red pill teaches, what is it? The red pill teaches men to hate women. No, it just teaches you not to hate them for what they can't be to you. Real easy. It's real easy. Very, very easy. Let's see. Will you make a boxed set at any point? A box set of the books? Boy, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Let me return to that in just a second here. How do you where is it? MGTOW, I got to yours. Oh, you asked me for concrete evidence on the promiscuous women. Here's the best. So yes, there's tons of it. As far as like marriage rates and the impact that being like a high notch count for women has on women's future, because remember, they date for different reasons, or they mate for different reasons. There's lots of that. Actually, just do a Google search. Shit, you can find that on YouTube. I'm sure there's dozens of channels that have that data, but I will put that in there. If you hit me up an email, I can give you those as well. If you want to know more about promiscuity, there's a great book by Dr. Tim Burkhead, and it is called Promiscuity. It's kind of an expensive book because I think it might be out of print right now, but it was from back in like 2000, I want to say 2002 or 2004. I actually have the hardcover version of that, and I think that thing sells, like the hardcover version sells for like $85. But really good data sets for you and outlines promiscuity. That's where I get a lot of my data from when I talk about promiscuity in the animal kingdom and humans and stuff. It's really straight out of Tim Burkhead's work. Mr. R says, how do you calibrate jealousy so that it serves its purpose without making you look weak and insecure? You only look weak now. Okay. So weak and insecure. Let me continue. I get that when you're spinning plates, there's little scope for jealousy, but what about in an LTR? Okay. The only reason why jealousy is viewed as the green monster, and by the way, there's a difference between envy and jealousy. Like envy is like envying something that you don't have. Like, oh, I really want that car. Oh, yeah, keeping up with the Joneses, right? I really wish I had that snowmobile. Oh, so good. Oh, I wish I had that guitar. You don't have it. Jealousy is something you do have that you now don't have. There's other ways to be jealous, of course, as well. But the way that we know jealousy, the reason why we have it as part of the machine, is because of sexual jealousy and mate guarding. So use that jealousy. There's ways to leverage jealousy, by the way. It's one thing to be jealous and in a position of power. There's no point. Like a lot of guys, I've seen a lot of guys who are like very, like they're borderline abusers. They're guys who have enough money or have enough like invested in that. They're very status wise, they're very high, but they tend to be very, very jealous. I've had this conversation with, I think it was Craig from Abu American. And, it seems to me that, of any culture on planet Earth, the Muslim culture, particularly for males, is very almost like obsessively concerned with mate guarding. That's why you have a burqa. That's why women are kept under wraps. That's why you have honor killings. That's why women are kept as covered as possible. and it's part of the religion. Well, okay, yeah, not to shit on anybody's religion. I get it. That's your thing. There's the Amish do something similar, right? So it's not really so much the religion, but what's the functional purpose? What's the latent purpose of that? Mate guarding. Well, if she's walking on the streets and she's got to be with a male family member or me, and she's got to be, head to toe in a what is a burqa, right? I hope I'm getting that right. I don't want anybody else to look at my woman, but she's got to go on the street. She's got to go to the market. She's got to do things. So, and I can't just keep her in a house all day long. So how are we gonna manage that? I don't want anybody to be tempted to take my woman, especially when I can have up to 4 of them, and that means at least 3 other guys ain't getting laid. They're not reproducing. How can I? I need to go to the maximum amount of things that I can do to make sure that there's no temptation and my woman is protected and she's not going to cheat on me and no guy's going to try to take her from me because they don't even know what she looks like. She's in a black sack. That's mate guarding 101. Again, that's the mechanics of it. I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. You guys can deal with the judgment calls. That's not what this show's about. I'm sure you have your opinions on it, but regardless, I mean, there's a difference between a woman in, covered head to toe in, black cloth and a woman who is, who's jet screaming hootie queen on the beach somewhere with the monokini, whatever it's called. Slingshot. There's a qualifiable difference between those two, and when we're talking about mate guarding, men instinctively know that. Let's see. I got to will I make a box set? God, I hope I can. Chris Black, first date the other night with women in the epiphany phase. Okay, I got to you. I got to that one. I got to ML. Is a cheater a good investment for another man? Assuming you can, what's funny is like women, hypergamy is an open secret right now. Like women proudly, triumphantly embrace hypergamy as a sexual strategy and they don't care who knows. But when it comes to infidelity, yeah, that's something they might want to keep under wraps because I would say that infidelity, like cheating on another partner, is something that women will keep secret more than hypergamy. They will keep it secret more than probably anything else. So it's certainly they're more concerned with that being exposed, like infidelity being exposed, than coming off as a slut. Because that's confirmation that if you're dressed up as a slut, you can still go, oh, she's hot. Every man wants a slut. They just want her to be his slut. I want that. She's hot, man. I want her to be mine. I want to be hitting that every night. I want her to be a slut. I want to be my slut. I don't want anybody else to get her, but I get to, that's the whole thing about like, it's not your turn. It's just, you never had her. It's just your turn. That's the paradox of that. But like every man wants a slut. Every man wants wants a woman who will suck his dick as soon as he walks through the door and bang him for 6 hours straight. Every guy wants that, but he wants her to be his slut. He wants her to be his exclusive. I'm okay, honey. I'm coming home at 6. That's what they want, right? But let's see. All strike. I'm trying to catch up here, Chris Black. I got to you. People always know what they want. They just don't know what comes next. Yeah. Seeing the forest for the trees. That was SLK 66. Thank you. Albert. Did I get to you, Albert? Shout out to Dr. Tomassi. Instead of being honest, funny how women justify her actions across the guise of or because of emotional trauma. Yeah. Well, it's easier. Okay. There's my girl, Torsha. Thank you, Torsha. Torsha's my new female assistant. I'm the magician and she's like my assistant. She's the one that like comes out of the cage instead of the panther, right? Look, behold. Okay, I think I caught up. I got to everybody else. And if I didn't, oh well. Why do you care about whether men are lazy or not? Worry about yourself. I don't care if you're lazy or not. Please be lazy. Okay, I have to put this on there. Yes. Okay, because that's the Slanesh sign. You think I didn't see that? I know what you're talking about. Yes, the Lord of Pleasure. Torsha should be like a chaos champion in your Slaneshi army. That's what you should name. That's what you should name your champion of chaos is Torsha. That would be funny as hell. Let's see. MGTOW, did I get to you? I think I got to this. I Googled quite a bit. I went to my university archives and I went to the Google Scholar. It seems as though high body count men also divorce more. No. The impact, okay, divorce more, or do they do it because of the body count, or they do it because of other reasons? That's the thing. So, well, it seems like they divorce more. Well, again, the emotional investment, like remember, men are R selected, women tend to be K selected. Quality versus quantity. And yes, I know quantity can have a quality of its own. But the function, the mechanics of men's reproductive strategy versus women's reproductive strategy predisposes women to an emotional investment in a guy who she has sex with. Even if it's just a one-night stand, even if it's just a fling, even if it's the hot guy in the foam cannon party, I was drunk, he was cute, and one thing led to another. There's still that hope that, it's not like I'm just going to get up and towel off and walk away. Like women have even when it comes to sex, women have a higher investment cost. You know, they could get a yeast infection, right? I've heard that quoted before. They can, for a woman to have sex, even just the act of sex is a higher investment cost than it is for men. And so again, it comes back to why is it that men are able to separate the sex act from an emotional investment? And that what really throws women off is that men don't have that. Oh, they're taught to be macho bullshit artists. That's why they don't invest in sex like we do. If they were more perfected, ecologically optimized? Thank you, Brett Weinstein, for that one. I'm going to use that one for a long time. If men could just be more perfected and be more like women, then the world would be a utopia. Get the fuck out of here. No, there's a mechanical difference. There's a machine difference. There's a firmware difference between men and women. And yes, so when women have sex, they take a lot more risk than men do. I think probably any Evo Psych or Evo Bio person is going to agree with that. In fact, that's where I heard it from. Yeah, 100%. But as a result of that, men don't have a problem with jerking off and then going down to 7-Eleven and buying a big gulp. It's not like, oh, I just had sex. Thank you, Lord in heaven. I think she's the one. Or just some chick you just jerked off to on imagine that. Imagine every time like your guy, because again, guys have higher libidos, but imagine like your sex drive or your libido is like defined by female terms. Like every time you jerk off like to some porn star or something like that, you'd be like, oh man, this is the most significant cosmic thing in my life to jerk off to whoever. I don't even know. Somebody banging Sterling Cooper. And don't send me links of Sterling Cooper's shit, please. Every time I haven't mentioned this, but I will in another video that's coming out this week, by the way. I might as well give you guys the preview of it. We did 2 videos in Tahoe while Sterling and Justin were here, and I think they came out fantastic. They're already done. They're in the can right now. I'm just going to release them later in this week. But every time I'm talking with Sterling, every time that it comes up, I've mentioned this before. I'll say it again. I've never seen Sterling's work. I've never seen him at work. I don't want to see him at work. Please don't ruin my great relationship and Ned's relationship with Sterling Cooper by sending me some ghosted ass link or some like redirected link so that I can go and check out his schlong inside of some cuckold porn or whatever the fuck it is. Don't send me that, please. I don't want that image in my head. But that's the first thing people, I've mentioned that before. I said that before. I said, I've never seen your work and I hope I never do. Within 30 minutes of that video going live, everybody's like, oh, Jay, hey, here's a link to free money in India. And you click on it and it's a redirect to like to Pornhub with Sterling Cooper in it. Don't do that. I see through your bullshit. I love you to death, Sterling, but I don't need that imagery. Thank you. That we'll keep it that way. Let's see. Ricky Bobby sounds to me like we have to find a balance between the alpha and the beta for healthy LTRs. Praise be to God, Emperor Rollo. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could. That's the myth of the good guy, by the way, Ricky Bobby. Because you won't be the same person you are right now that you are. Again, remember, Clark Kent and Superman are the same guy. They're just in different times as needed. Philip with her. Giggity. Fresh and Fit will have Michaela Peterson on in November. Plans for a live stream. Oh boy. Yes, we do. Gosh. How did you find out about that? Philip? I want to know, because that was supposed to be like a secret. I thought it was supposed to be a secret. That is going to make for, and John from Modern Life Dating, I hope you're watching this episode at this late hour, because that is going to make one of the most epic subcontracted live streams we've ever done. So we got to make plans for that. Michaela Peterson, boy, I could do a full show on her. I probably will do a full show on her. I really hope that the boys hold her feet to the fire. I really do. Because this chick right here, the one in the video right here, it's easy to do it from like, oh, I don't know her, and it's just shot on this, shitty cell phone video. That's one thing. It's another thing to hold Jordan Peterson's daughter accountable for taking a break with her husband and a newborn child to get on a plane and fly to Romania to meet Andrew Tate. Now, did they bang? I don't know. The pictures are there and they're all over the internet. Just to put in Michaela Peterson, Andrew Tate, you will find them. They're all over the place. This was in 2018. I'm not revealing. I'm not doxing anybody. I'm not revealing anything. It is out there. It was put out there. It is public knowledge. Husband's at home. Oh, we don't know if we're going to patch things up. Her husband, by the way, is one of the most beta guys you will ever meet. But he's still, God bless his eternal soul, but he's there with the kid, and she's off flying to Romania so she can meet with the champion kickboxer. Whether they're getting after it, I don't know, but that will not go away. And if Myron and Fresh do not call that shit out, I sure the fuck will. I think they will. And nobody wants to say shit about that. Maybe that might even be a stipulation. She might say, well, don't talk about that. Because right after that, she goes back to the guy and uses him as a liaison to help her dad in Russia to get, drug treatment, because I think the guy's Russian. But she essentially went from being this, young mother to being thought mommies in the club. She gonna need a babysitter. You want to talk about thought mommies? She's the poster girl for thought mommies. Seriously. Michaela Peterson, you're a thought mommy. Kill the party. SMV 4 equals potential. SMV 8 to 7, 7 to 8. Oh, okay. SMV 4, potential SMV 7 to 8. I know what work to do for looks, money, status, game, but I'm just getting started. Get coaching now or just get to work. What I would suggest is this. If you're saying, you know what? I want to live a different life. I want to be somebody else. I want to be a rock star. How do you be a rock star? Well, what's the process? What do you think is the most deductive way to be a rock star? What is the most deductive way to get from where you're at right now to be what you want to be? Do you need to lose weight? Most likely you do. I don't know if you live in the United States, but probably. Statistically, you're probably overweight. Get in the gym, because that will help you especially when you're seeing, when you look at growth, when you see things, you see a noticeable difference, when you see a visible improvement of your state from one to another, that is like, if there's nothing that you want to know where confidence and encouragement come from and drive and motivation, it's seeing that incrementally, so that incremental improvement. There's studies on this too, by the way. It's not about like digging deep for that confidence and all that shit. No, you need to do the work. And what happens is you get into a positive feedback cycle. Okay. And then you do more. Okay. That's not enough. Let's keep going. Okay. I look like I was a fat ass 3 months ago. Now I'm looking okay. 6 months later, yeah, I'm looking better. I'm putting some muscle, blah, blah, blah. 8 months later, yeah. Fuck yeah. Right. You will build out snowballs. That's why, guys, that's why any dating coach, any whatever coach, anybody worth their salt will tell you to start with your physique first. Sorry, black pill doomers. That's what we've been talking about since 2003. But get coaching now. I don't know. Do you need coaching, or do you just need to get your head straight? Probably that. Don't get into coaching until you've at least put, like, say, 3 months into your physique and 3 months into, like, improving your life. I don't know what that is. I'm not going to give you a template for that. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I can give you the tools, but you got to do the work yourself. Make your own sculpture. That's you. Now what? What the hell do you guys want? This is after hours. Rollo Tomassi after hours. Oh, all right. My cam girl's here. Must be getting late because that's usually when she shows up. But oh, wait. I got it. Oop, I don't.
Bye, Felicia.
There you go. Bye, Felicia. What did you say? Lauren Chen has Fred Flintstone feet. How do you know that? Jordan Peterson's rep took a hit because of Michaela. Yeah, and still is taking a hit because of Michaela. Michaela is like, she is like this monster of his career. He allowed that shit to happen, by the way. Is that it? I think we are done. Thank you very much for today's show, because I couldn't do this without you. And I see, oh, by the way, Donovan is out of the hospital. Maybe he wanted me to, did you want me to say something? He was so in case you're wondering about Donovan Sharp, he's been in the hospital for a while, and he just got discharged this morning, and he's taking some time to recover. So I presume he'll be back at some point. If you follow his Instagram, you'll see what happened. But he's been in the hospital for a while. Sam Bada, by the way, was also bedridden for COVID, I believe. So hope you guys get better. I'm glad I'm healthy. Of course, I don't ever leave the freaking studio except for Tahoe. Tahoe was fun, by the way. We had a lot of really good pictures and a lot of really good video that will be delivered this week. Thank you, Czar, for that 140 whatever though. Oh, Stefan, thank you for those. Whatever that is. What is a czar? Is that that's not a Russian thing. I think it was Russian rupees. Anyway, so here we are at the end. Now you guys can all abandon ship while I give you what's coming up next. Book is in second round of edits right now. This is the part where I pull things out that I think are superfluous. I actually wrote quite a bit more than I thought I was going to. I'm simplifying this one because I need it to be easy to read. So there's less $10 words. So you guys won't have any problem understanding what I'm talking about. It is not a how-to book. It is a why-to book. It's going to be called the Player's Handbook, and it is going to be a definitive guide to game. So if you are a dating coach, if you're a PUA, if you're teaching game, this book actually, guys, John Anthony, Alex from Playing with Fire, all you guys, this will probably be a really good book for your clients. You probably will want to give this to them because all of the techniques that you claim to be, promoters of are explained in this book. It's a textbook for PUAs. It's a textbook for guys teaching game. How awesome is that? Guys have been asking for that. I'm benefiting you because now you can use this. I plan to. I hope Troy does. I hope James Tusk does. I'm pretty sure he will, but that's what it's coming down to. I'm going to give you the reasons why these techniques and why this stuff works. How you choose to apply that's up to you. But again, I'm Prometheus. So I give you the fire and you decide what to do with it. That will be out, like I said, many times during this show. It will be out at the end of this month, possibly the first week of November, depending on how quick it goes. And remember, I have to wait for approval. I'm just trying to decide right now, and somebody needs to tell me if this is a good idea or not. I'm deciding whether I'm just going to put it on Amazon like the rest of my books, or if I should make it an exclusive thing for Gumroad for a little while and keep it exclusive and hand it out to my Patreon members. Also, my email list. I have an email list. If you're not on it, you should get on it. It's called The Rational Mail, MAIL. And you can get that if you go to my site, which is therationalmail.com. And the little annoying mail opt-in window will pop up, and then you can put your email in there, and then you'll get the newsletter that I put out. I'm trying to put it out once a week. I didn't put it out this week because I was in Tahoe, but I usually do it once a week. A lot of people are very enthusiastic about it and like it. I think it's a positive thing. And then you'll get special announcements and all that other good stuff that goes along with that. Again, I try to put as much stake in as possible. I'm not going to be like Mr. Funnel Market Niche Marketer guy. I actually give you some actionable, usable information in my emails and my newsletter, which I really only put out once a week. So I'm not going to annoy you unless I've got something really super good. So I've been building my email list over this summer, and I am almost, I think I'm over 4,000 right now, but, and that's just me building it. I actually had an email list from before. So there's a lot of people that are into that. So that's cool. Now, last but not least, and I probably should have said this at the beginning. If you are looking for counseling, like I was asked here before, hey, I need to get counseling, blah, blah, blah. I do one-on-one counseling. I will do it. My going rate right now is $1,200 an hour. Oh my God, Rollo, $1,200 an hour. How dare you? Well, if I'm going to sit there and give you that kind of undivided attention and take time away from my books and take time away from things, and I don't mind doing it, and I'm happy to do it. Sometimes I just do it for free. Like somebody throws me, hey, what do you think about this? If I have the time, I'll answer it on Instagram or email. But if you want one-on-one, it's usually $1,200 an hour. That's far less than what Rich Cooper charges. Far less than I think what even Myron charges. I'm not really sure, but I'm happy to do that. And if you want that one-on-one counseling, I'm happy to do that for you. I will set aside time. However, I will need you to look at my policies and everything else that goes along with that. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I am not a clinical psychologist. I do not have a DR in front of my name, as much as you guys would like to put it in front of my name. So that's that. I am happy to do that for you. I will set it up, but I'm not going to, if you have serious problems, by the way, if you have like Asperger's syndrome, or you're autistic, or you have something that is like a clinical disorder, I am going to refer you to a clinical psychologist, because I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to try to keep you on the hook. In fact, I would rather you just do one session with me and go off and fix your problem. That's me. I'm not looking for repeat customers, put it that way. However, people go, oh my God, I can't afford $1,200 an hour. What are you nuts? Well, congratulations. I do have a group conference Zoom call that I do once a month, but you have to be a Patreon subscriber. How does this work? Well, there are these things called tiers on Patreon, in case you're unfamiliar with Patreon. I have a $200 a month Patreon tier. And that gets you all the perks of everything else that I have on my Patreon. And then it also gets you the code, or it gets you the access to the Zoom meetings for the conferences that I do once a month, usually right around the middle of the month. I try to keep it on like a Thursday or a Friday. I do it at 6:00 Eastern time. So that's 3:00 my time in the Pacific. I try to make it as accessible as possible, and it is much more affordable. The only catch is you're in there with how many we had last time? 6 other guys. Right now there's only 6 guys, man. I will probably be able to answer your question. So, and I do it for 2 hours. And like I said, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, depending on where like the 15th falls in the month. I think it might be on a Thursday or Friday this month. So, and that's coming up. So if you want to get in, if you want some kind of counseling, sign up for and you can say, I don't want $1,200. What are you, a shyster? Okay, fine. Be in the conference then. And the great part is that there's other guys there who probably have a similar situation, or they can at least give you their take, because they're all red pill guys who are subscribers of my Patreon. Awesome. That's only $200 a month. How cool is that? So, much better, much cheaper, because then I can sort of do it when on a scheduled basis. So that's why I do that. So if that's what you want, go to my Patreon, which is Patreon, The Rational Male. Yeah. Actually, I shouldn't say it. The Patreon link is in the description. Go get it from there. So that's me today. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope this has been educational. Again, I always try to do steak with the sizzle, and there's a lot of sizzle in this one. I'm sure this is going to make for a lot of good clips. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Again, later on this week, there will be a short form video. It'll be myself, Sterling Cooper, and Justin Waller, what we shot in Lake Tahoe. unless I do some other short form video as well this week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. We'll see. But there's actually two videos that are coming up on this channel during the week. So that should hold you over until I see you guys next, which, by the way, will be on Saturday of next weekend. I am hosting Rule Zero. It'll be my host, and that will be Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and as usual. And then I will see you guys again 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on this show. If you have not picked up the Audible version of Religion, go get it now. If you've been waiting and going, well, Rollo, when's the Audible going to be? It's there now. Go get it. It's really, I'm getting great reviews on it right now, which is, lost myself, but I'm thank you very much for being so into it. So I'll see you guys later, and peace.